Do not adjust your radio dial. You are tuned in to the Mark Order Podcast. Join the Mark Order.
Definitely here on the wrong night, right? Like, I'm not making that up. It's the wrong night.
It is. 2 weeks in a row of the wrong night.
Yeah. But that, I guess, makes things fun, right?
Hell
hey! Yeah. We're spontaneous and wacky.
We're not wacky when you have that classy of an outfit on.
Well, you know. We can't all be fashion icons, but we can try. So let's see. It's episode 78 here on a Thursday.
You know what that means?
Yeah, I mean, maybe people do, because usually it's Wednesday. They know what we mean, not on a Thursday.
What does anything mean? You know?
I don't know. You know what it means? I'm fucking tired from a long goddamn night.
Too long.
And we'll talk about it. But it's the Mark Order Podcast here on the lovely Shining Wizards Network for now. AntMoney here. We got Ryan Schlong, who looks like, I don't know, he may be at a tennis event still.
They still might be taping Rampage. Yeah, Rampage might still be going on.
Oh, they're still taping, huh?
It could be. I felt like it.
And Kate's here too.
I am. Sort of.
Here. No, you're here.
I'm physically here. Mentally. I'm a sleepyhead today, Ant.
Your ban has been lifted. We're still waiting on some of the third party investigative reports before we figure out what's going on with Millionaire Matt. So good to have you back, Kate. Well, at least with me. I know you were here last week.
Yes, I'm not saying that Matt bit my arm, but I'm not saying that. So,
yeah. We're not saying you can't show your bite marks.
Right, yeah. I'm not saying there's a bruise right here.
Right.
I'm not saying that.
Broken skin from teeth.
Legally, I'm not saying that. You know?
Right.
So.
But so we're here tonight because last night we were out at Grand Slam at Flushing. Sorry, if I sound brain dead, it's because I am. It was a long goddamn night.
It was too long, Ant.
It was. We will get there. I mean, eventually, much like last night's event, our show also goes too long. But we're going to try to, keep it interesting.
You all right over there, Schlong?
Yeah, I thought you were going to say
something. He said it goes too long, and I just agreed.
Did your Coke nose? Yeah, you got some.
Oh my God, not you too. You're not going to come out and yell at us like other people.
Are we here for some Mark Order?
Yeah. We got a great show for you tonight. We don't have $1 million gate, unfortunately, tonight.
No, or 1 million viewers. You know, the funny thing was, I saw a headline. It was like, biggest AEW show on television drops in ratings. It went from like 1.1 to 1.039. Like, come on. Yeah. Like, what are we doing?
Drops in ratings. Still above 1 million.
Yeah. And now they're like, will that streak end next week? I bet you Turner would still be happy with 900K.
Yeah. Who gives
on a Wednesday on a TBS when they could be showing reruns of fucking Young Sheldon or whatever the other bullshit they show is.
When every other network had all their premieres.
Very true.
Well, it's just going to be a weird, like, right now it's going to get weird too because we have football back. So, like, ratings are just going to be weird for a little bit. all sorts of sports. We found out at the show there's going to be a Tuesday night, October 18th Dynamite. So
That's
ratings
right.
always get wonky when more sports come back. Like that's just the way. That's the way the cookie crumbles, Aunt.
That is right. Yeah, there were that was something I had later, but you mentioned it, but and that's fine, Kate. There's no rhyme or reason, but yeah, you're right. They did mention at the show last night that AEW was going to be on Tuesday, October 18th. But there was rumors of that happening. You know, if you kind of looked ahead at what was going on in the sports landscape, you could see that was coming because the baseball playoffs are going to fuck them up on TBS. So they are moving to Tuesday, the 18th. So guess what? Everything leading up to that's going to be, NXT and AEW are going head to head in the ratings.
God.
Who gives a shit?
I cover both and I don't give a shit, so I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I mean, well, you know what's going to
people
suck, Kate?
in
You're
the
going to
chat.
have to watch NXT so you can talk about it on Tuesday night.
I know, which is rough. Unless they move NXT, maybe there'll be some mercy.
They'll be like, we'll move NXT to Wednesday.
Please. I don't want to have to watch that over AEW. Ever.
I mean, these are the choices we have to make.
That's
AEW
true.
or NXT, I guess.
Ay. Hello,
So-
people in the chat.
Yes,
It's
hello. I'm not looking at the chat. Sorry. Hello, everybody.
No, that's okay. The main reason I pointed it out is Eric Fried said nice shirt, and I feel like that's actually
wow.
the perfect segue into where our day yesterday kind of picked up.
That's right. So we were lucky enough that the entire Mark Order podcast and Mrs. Money was able to attend Grand Slam. So we did procure 6 seats for the 5 of us because we're fancy. We wanted a little extra room. So
We're
we
also
procured
some
6
big
seats.
burly boys who like some
Well,
extra room.
Speak
And
for
it's
yourself, Schlong.
It's just easier to get 6 tickets to something than 5 too.
No.
So
We were buying 6 tickets regardless, and then we bought 6 tickets and we're like, do we really want to fill up this row? Like, we could probably just have some extra room.
the seating is cramped there too. So
Yeah, for those who may not know, Arthur Ashe is a tennis stadium. So what's cool about the seating is it's very steep, right? Like, because everybody's got to be able to sort of see the court unobstructed.
Right.
So the seating is steep, so everywhere's got a great seat, but they also want to, cram everybody in there. So they're all very close together.
Cram it up your cram hole, the floor.
Whoa. That's very true. But what was great was the seats we were able to find. It was just 6 seats in between 2 sets of stairs. So that was awesome.
And unknowingly, yeah.
Right. I was just going to say Bullet Club Rob
Hell
was
yeah.
right behind us. So that was pretty awesome. We literally saw him walking in after we got through the gate. And it was just kind of like, all right, we'll see you in there. Where are you sitting? And he was like, section 122. And we were like, oh, that's where we are. And it was like, yeah, I'm in row K. And we were like, hey, we're in row L. We're going to be right there. So that was a lot of fun. Bullet Club Rob did try to hold my hand a few times, but I didn't mind it.
Can't blame her. And with your wife there, she had better things to thirst
She didn't mind
over.
it.
You know what I mean?
She didn't mind it.
All her boyfriends there.
Eric Frieds is asking, is Bullet Club Rob Baby Seal guy on the Discord? Yes, that is Bullet Club Rob. Eric Frieds. So let's
the Discord.
Let's back up.
What Discord?
Oh, I'm not plugging some shitty Shining Wizards Discord. No, I'm just kidding. It's a Shining Wizards Discord. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I've sort of given up the Discord, not for any wrong, bad reason.
No, I know, me too.
But it was on my phone, and I would literally look at it all day. I had to get it off my phone because it was.
I'm the same way with notifications.
But it wasn't even notifications. I turned them all off, and then I would still just be checking it all day. So I had to get rid of it. So I spent very little time in the Discord, but it is a great Discord. Maybe one day I'll dip my toes back in the water. I do check it out when I'm here on like PC before we go on the air and stuff like that.
Careful, you don't want the PC police coming after you.
No, well, yeah, I probably should have just said laptop, so they wouldn't know. But yes, the Shining Wizards Discord, I believe they have it linked in all of their like link trees or whatever. You know, that's something else. Those guys fucking bit off our style with the link tree. Jesus, have an original idea. You know,
yeah. Nobody
just
else
like with this fashion, trend setting.
It's true. You are an icon.
So yeah, check out the Shining Wizards Discord. There's wrestling chats everywhere, general chat, music, books, movies. At one point there was like a Marvel channel. They got all sorts of shit. A fitness channel.
Mm-hmm.
So check it out. But let's go back a little further in time. We showed up. We carpooled. So we showed up in the lots a little early yesterday. Now, Schlong, I gotta ask you a question. Did you ever check your account? He's just rolling his eyes. I wish he was.
It's building suspense. No, I'm pretty sure though. I mean, I forgot about it. If they end up charging me more than $5, I'm calling and complaining because I still have the receipt.
So Kate, I don't know if we told you this. I think we did in passing. So we rolled up early like we did last year, and we parked in the only lot they say AEW. So we parked, and it was a pretty far lot, but again, there's no parking like right next to the venue. So we parked there. Now last year, I remember I paid for the parking because Matt did the driving. He wouldn't let us pay for lunch, you know, all that sort of millionaire Matt bullshit. So I paid for the parking. I just shoved my card in the lady's face and said, "Here you go." And it was $50 to park. And I remember that because I even said my idiot brother's coming in on his own. He's going to have to pay $50. Like he could have just gotten in on this ride. But we pulled up yesterday and Schlong shoves his card in Matt's face before I could get my card out because Ryan's a stand-up guy. And I was like, "Would they whack you up for the parking this year? It was $50 last year." And he looks through it. He goes, $5.
So
just check my account. $5.
Whoa!
Someone went to type in and missed a zero.
Absolutely did. Ryan Schlong, deal of the night, $5 to park.
Cost me more to get a drink.
That's right, it did. So we parked in the lots and we were tailgating. So it was Schlong, Millionaire Matt, me, and Mrs. Money. And then Kate, you came a little bit later because you had some prior commitments and stuff like that.
I did. I had to work the shoot job, and then I came in after. Aunt was ill and then recovered, so very happy to hear that.
Magnificently around the middle of the day. I felt great.
I'm so thankful that you mysteriously felt so much better. But yes, I joined later, which is a shame because this job is new, so I don't have the like let me sneak out flexibility quite yet. I had like a little leniency with how I got into the city about it, but they like this job, it's like they want me to do work to earn the money. So it's just like I don't know what that's all about. But it was a beautiful day for tailgating, so I was kind of bummed that I got there a little bit later, but was very thankful that I took the train in and you guys were able to let me squeeze in the car for the ride home because otherwise I would have had to have left Rampage early. And since Rampage went till like 3 a.m, I would have missed a lot. But it also gave me somewhere to store my work laptop. So that was great for me all around. But yeah, I did get to have a boardwalk lemonade before we went in, which was delightful. Got to say hi, got to enjoy a couple minutes before we went in, got ourselves pumped up. It was delightful. Great parking situation. $5. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
And a nice little spot over there. Made in the shade, baby.
What's the 10 about? Just really happy about that, Ryan? $5? Literally stealing parking.
$5.
But that's
I was expecting 50. No, it's two fives, but they're not added. They're just there. So five.
That's 10.
All right, that hand gesture is more acceptable for 5.
Fine.
I'll take that one. By the way, Chris Mueller checking in saying, Ant, love the shirt. Thank you, Chris. Kate, love the bangs.
Thank you.
Ryan, you're still a bit of a Frodo, but I guess you're all right.
Mueller has an opinion that Frodo is a bitch.
Kind of is.
I disagree. I don't think he's a bitch. I think Sam is the true hero of the story, but I don't think Frodo is a bitch. But Mueller is a wizard, so it's okay. The man manages to do a bunch of podcasts, but has no body, so he's a wizard.
It's true. He is an
He's a
audio only fella. But since he's nice enough to chime in, we'll also put over, he has an interview with Eddie Kingston talking about suicide prevention and awareness month. So keep an eye out for all that wonderfulness, because
that should be excellent. Listen, I'm going to.
I made it serious. You were like, Frodo, haha. And I was like, I'm plugging him for the serious shit.
Oh yeah,
right
he
now.
deserves it. He's, he may be a wizard, but he's a great interview. And if there's anyone to do that interview with Eddie Kingston, it should be him.
Wait, I don't recall him being on the Monday show. He's a wizard?
Different type of wizard.
He's not a shining one, though.
No.
He's more of like a matte finish wizard.
Matte finish. So we did hang out earlier. Kate joined us later. And Kate, Matt had a lot of lemonade that I couldn't drink because of the surgery. He assumed I could drink it. I was like, sorry, pal, my banana-sized stomach cannot hack the booze at the moment. So he said he was going to be a one-man wrecking crew. And boy, was he. Before you got there, Kate, he was practicing his CM Punk retorts to the people wearing CM Punk shirts. And he literally was just sitting there, and all of a sudden he's like, CM Punk is a bitch.
Literally just
shouted it out. Yeah.
He was trying to needle me so hard, and I'm like, I kind of agree. Like, just because he's like one of my favorite wrestlers, if not my favorite wrestler, like, I don't think what he did was like super cool. He kept trying to poke the bear, and
but we need to point out an important fact. He saw someone in a CM Punk shirt, and he did nothing. And he did waffle. Nothing.
He's a little bitch.
Waffle.
Matt's
very
a
much
bitch.
like when he saw Jay White in the casino, and I was like, Matt, this is your chance. And he just scared him away. These people he didn't scare away. He just sort of waffled. I'm sorry, Matt. No. You did have your chance. And I was like, what are we doing? What are we waiting for?
You got
3 of us.
Matty Bo's a lot of talk sometimes. All right.
I'm like, you got a crew? We're here to stand up, stand out. Let's do it.
Completely bought in. Matt Bowman is the most fun person to go to a wrestling show with, though. Like, Absolutely. He'll just talk shit about heels the entire time, and he'll be so into faces. Like, he's like totally bought in. He'll call everyone else a fucking mark, and then he'll be the biggest mark of all, and it's delightful.
That's the best irony of it all.
You know, the other thing we should note is that we didn't take a group photo because I was like, we really can't put a group photo anywhere because I'm supposed to be sick. So
you were. You just
I was.
Recovered.
Yeah, I'm still recovering. But this lovely attire was my show attire. I didn't mention I had lot attire. I changed outfits.
I think you were changing right as I showed up, basically.
The hell is that sound?
What the hell was that? Sorry, I'm checking to make sure it's not feedback on my side. You guys heard that, right?
I did not hear it.
Oh, okay. Schlong, you definitely heard it.
I was like, what's going on?
What is it?
It just sounded like feedback or maybe a plane passing overhead.
Gotcha.
It's not here. Anyway. Yes, this was my show attire. In the lot, I did have my matching Macho Madness top and bottom from Chalkline.
Of course.
It's acceptable. He's a legend. Jason Major, Young Bucks look, you bet. And I had the dangly last night as well to complete the ensemble.
Ensemble.
I could not, though, find a leather Kangol hat in enough time.
It's a shame.
It'll lent you mine. I'm sorry.
But Garcia wasn't really like heavily featured on the show, so.
Well, the Bucks wore the Kangols. They were.
That's a very good point.
When
they were.
That's what I was going for. Even though they're their status is TBD. I'm there to support.
Of course.
Because I'm a money guy, so of course I'm gonna root for the guys who are the EVPs.
And shooting money at a cannons, those young bucks.
That's right. So we did make our way in. What was nice this year is last year they sent us the long way around, and this year they're like, "Oh no, you can go up on the boardwalk." And I was like, "Boardwalk? What the fuck is that?"
First of all, did not know there was a boardwalk until this year.
Yeah.
Second of all,
I did, because that's where the subway dumps you.
Well, where were you last year, Kate?
I actually went around to meet my friend Brian. So I did enter there because I had to get him his ticket. And I think you guys went in ahead of me last time.
That's right. But you walked around with us, though. You didn't tell us to take
Oh,
the
but I had
shortcut
to
the boardwalk.
slingshot all the way around. I got a whole tour of Arthur Ashe last year trying to meet up with my friend.
Well, I think the boardwalk was the start of a theme that they definitely improved it this year.
Yeah, it was definitely an overall better experience. Partly because there were less COVID restrictions, partly because they learned their damn lesson.
Yeah, like you could get in easily. Security was easy. The concession lines were relatively normal for a sporting event. We got to see some people.
We did.
You guys ran into Bullet Club Rob. Kate ran into her friend who we had met, but Matt forgot. So Matt tried to make Kate feel bad for not introducing us, and then ended up feeling bad himself.
But okay.
Then we met Caden from Fightful Overbooked.
Yes.
And then we met in our chat. He's here right now, Mr. Drew Nicholas. He had a better seat than all of us. Well, you scissored. I didn't get a scissor. I got a hug though, so I'm gonna take that as a win.
Scissor.
But he had a better seat than all of us. He was on the floor.
Yeah, that fucking rules. Good on him.
Is that now? I'm gonna ask a real question. I mean, good for him for having a floor seat. Is that a better seat?
Yes.
I'm sure. I can't see shit.
Depends on the venue. If the seats are staggered, then yes. If the seats are not staggered, they are not.
I mean, even like the old Ring of Honor shows at like the Hammerstein, or like when we went to see GCW, we're on the floor. Like half the time I can't see shit because everybody's taller than me. And then I can't do anything about that. My shitty jeans are my shitty jeans.
You could wear Ace Frehley boots.
You just see Ant come with like giant padding on his ass, so that when he sits, he's like 6 feet higher.
Oh, I just wouldn't sit. I would just stand and I'd wear the platform boots. But then I'd look ridiculous.
I mean, Drew posted some pictures of his seats, and it looked like he had a fairly he had a good shot of the big spoiler of the night of Soraya coming out. So like it looked like he had some good seats.
Oh, I'm not shitting on his seats. I'm just asking your guys.
No. What I'm saying is
seats better than.
My
point being is I think Arthur Ashe had good setup.
I would guess because they're a tennis venue, they would have been really good.
Oh, well, here you go.
There are some that are completely staggered.
Drew's comment. Okay, so it's amazing to be that close, but the stuff around the ring he couldn't see well, so he just looked up at the screen.
Yeah.
So it's a plus and minus. You get an experience of seeing some stuff super close, but I mean, it's kind of like when you
The same thing would happen with those Ring of Honor shows at the Hammerstein. If you're on the floor, there's no fucking screens. Like so you couldn't really see the shit happening on the floor around the other side of the ring. You just had to hope somebody was like, "Oh man, it's a Canadian destroyer on the floor" or something, because you had no idea what was going on.
It's like at a hockey game if you're close to the boards, but you're off to the side where you like lose part of the ring.
Yeah, because of
part of the ring
boards.
Yeah, I'm thinking Stanley. But anyway, I just want to say we saw him. Drew's an awesome guy. Caden was awesome, so I'm very happy to see people I know. And it was just, I had to laugh though. I actually think he had the better Scissor Me Daddy shirt. The one with the actual scissors on it.
The first
one. Yeah, but then he got the other one. So he's all in on the Acclaim, which I don't blame him. I'm trying to think. You guys saw Bull Club Rob. Kate saw like 10,000 people.
I'm really popular.
We also loosely heckled a guy who decided to wear his Marty Skrull villain baseball jersey.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
That's a choice.
I think I was just yelling, "That's problematic." And then Matt started shouting some stuff.
I forget, Matt shouted something, and I turned at him like, dude, even for you, when he was like, it's a Marty Scurll jersey. I was like, oh, okay. Because
He's
I
like,
think
"You're
he
a
probably
fucking
shouted
mark."
something.
You know,
Or
Matt's
like
just playing
probably
whatever.
like something about teenagers. And I was like, don't go call him.
That's what it was. It was
And he
because
was
I
like,
could.
he was like, no, but it's about Marty Scurll. And I was like, oh, well, then you're not calling someone a pedophile. That's not a pedophile. You're calling someone who is a pedophile.
I think it was something like, "Are you waiting for her to be 15?" And I'm
Oh,
like,
Jesus.
and then I saw
That
the
would have
jersey. I'm
been
like,
plenty
I get it.
legal.
Oh, Lord.
So yeah, for the most part, as you guys said, things this year for sort of logistics were much better than last year. Less checkpoints in place because of the COVID stuff is one reason I think things move more smoothly. But also, too, last year, I think that was like the first major event back at Arthur
They didn't
Ashe.
have
So, like,
U.S. Open.
right. So like the concessions were all fucked up. This year, everything, there were lines, but things moved. I mean, even the merch stands, I mean, even those lines moved. You know, things seem to be
Much more.
well set up.
And concessions, too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, wrestling's weird because, and I don't say like in sports, most of the time you have like a natural time for concessions, in between periods or at half. Baseball in between innings. Wrestling, you don't. So it always feels like there's a line for concession because people are just always picking randomly when to go.
Yeah, but last year the lines literally
Oh.
didn't move. I
Yeah.
mean,
No.
it was fucked. This year the lines moved. Like I went I went out at one point looking for like a pretzel or something, and the line was pretty long, but it moved very quickly. You know, they had things moving fast.
Oh yeah, I
I
got
think they were
drinks. And
ready
I could
for
go
it.
to. I'll be honest. I could go to the bathroom. Last year I was afraid to go. I was like, if I what am I gonna miss if I just go to pee? And it was like, nope, this year I can do it.
Yeah, it was very quick.
I spent all of Dark last year in line, which was a bummer because I wanted to see Kayla Sparks because she's great. And it was like her versus Rosa. And then I was at the front of the line and it wasn't moving at all. And I was like, I ain't missing Kenny Omega and Bryan Danielson. And that's when Cass saved our lives and still got us water. Because it was also really hot in there last year. It was not as hot in there this year. I think it was just nicer out. Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
nicer out. And I will say this, Drew brought up a good point. He didn't think there was anything besides tennis there prior to AEW, so they were
Yeah.
not prepared. I do think that they saw how bad last year was, and you're like, okay, tennis fans and wrestling fans, mighty different people.
Yeah.
But they also last year, I mean, again, remembering where we were last year, they didn't have the US Open. They were definitely understaffed. You know, things were this year they had just had the US Open. They seemed to be fully staffed or as staffed as they could be
They
to
set
be
up a
ready
merch,
for this year.
So
that again, I'm sorry.
They set out that merch stand outside. So, because that was
Yep.
a whole other thing with the merch lines was they were like eating into people's ability to just walk to their seats, like much smoother logistically this year, which was good to see because it was last year it was so incredible because it was like they'd never done it at this venue before, but that definitely did like frame out the experience in not the best way. It was good.
And they did like meet and greets and stuff like that beforehand. Now we didn't do any of that type of stuff, but I think they had them sort of at the like little outdoor sort of venue spaces, like restaurants or bars that they had on the like on the ground level outside the building. So so they seem to have all that worked out. Now, from a show perspective, we all thought that the show was starting at 7:00. They didn't start taping anything for Dark Elevation until 7:30, just about. And I think they only taped like 2 matches, right?
2 matches.
Yeah, I think they knew with a 2-hour Rampage that was already going to be 5 hours of wrestling, so they didn't want to overload you too much. But they did, because we saw talent come in for security on Rampage later. Like they did have people there for it, but I think it was just AEW talent, right? Because it was Kip and somebody. Who was it? Kip and
it was Kip and Penelope. Well, you know, we won't spoil anything, but Elevation was Kip and Penelope versus oh my god, I'm gonna forget his name.
Guy Blue and Captain Sean Dean.
Yeah, the captain. There it is, Sean Dean. And then what was even this? I don't even remember the second match. No offense to whoever that was. Do you remember?
Ortiz versus somebody.
Oh yes, it was Ortiz and I honestly don't remember.
Doesn't matter. As soon as Ortiz came out, Serpentico, yeah. So they didn't even use like local indie talent.
No. Yeah, I mean it was fine. And then we had the 2 hours of Dynamite, which if you've been to a Dynamite live show, they run it like clockwork. It's perfect. The problem then becomes you do a 2-hour Rampage for Grand Slam, which is fine. You want to do a 2-hour Rampage? Cool. But this fucking ran over by like 30 minutes. The main event didn't end until 12:30.
It also like, well, we aren't gonna get into Rampage, so I guess maybe we can just talk about it here.
We're not going to spoil it
into 2 hours. Like there was some stuff in there that just did not need to happen yesterday. Like they could have. I said it was like having WrestleMania be 2 nights. It's like if they did a 1-night WrestleMania, that WrestleMania would be awesome. But because they stretch it into 2, it's kind of like, one night's really good and one night's really bad. This was like, if they had made this a 1-hour Rampage, the 1 hour would have been awesome. But like, because it was 2, I feel like it got really watered down. There's so much stuff you could have cut.
Well, I was listening to Will Washington on Grapsody, and he had a great point. The Rampage is pre-recorded. Do 1 hour before Dynamite.
You just fucking stole my point, you son of a bitch.
Beat you to it.
We said that last year.
Your point. No, that was that's exactly what I was gonna say. Is because of the way it works, right? Like essentially, nothing that's happening on Dynamite has to do with Rampage. Like nothing that came on Rampage came out of Dynamite. You know, sometimes it does.
Yeah.
Nothing came out of it.
This time, yeah.
So that's exactly what I was talking to somebody before. I think actually Matt texted me about something, and he was like, that was fucking long last night, and that was exactly what we said was do 1 hour of Rampage. Don't worry about anything with Dark. Just do the first hour of Rampage, then go into Dynamite and do the second hour of Rampage. It would have been fine to do that. Totally.
Yeah.
Fine.
Or just do an hour. Like, there's you don't have to be obsessed with doing a 2-hour Rampage. It wasn't like they had 2 hours of must-see Rampage television. That's my thing about it. If it was 2 hours and the whole thing was stacked and perfect, I would have been like, well, I'm exhausted, but like, what was I going to cut? Here I could tell you easily what could have been cut. Like, boom, boom, boom. I could have had yesterday's show down to an hour, and in seconds I could tell you.
Well, here's the thing, though. They're still going to have to cut stuff. They went over 2 hours.
Yeah, they went well over.
Because
I mean, you figure it took them 15 minutes to get started, and then there was another 15 minutes on the end of it. But it fucks over Starks and Hobbs so bad. Like that was. What
but even with recording, I had sent a text right as it was starting, so I had the time, and I remembered that I sent it as it was starting. And it started at 11:19, and it ended at like 12:40. So.
Right. Well, the issue was that there were a couple things that happened, nothing major, but Dynamite quote unquote ended on TV, and there was like 1 or 2 moments that happened off the air for the live crowd. Nothing major. Then they have to change the ring, skirt, and I think they changed the apron too, or they at least peel back the apron and have a fresh one. So they have to do that. What gets me is that they take like 10 minutes between the matches. You don't have to take 10 minutes. Like, you kind of know what's coming up in your card, right? So end the match, send them to the back, take, 2 minutes, and then start the next match. Like, you don't
Why are you building in commercials?
Yeah, it's
also like there's just content that didn't need to, like, without spoiling, the winner of the Battle Royal didn't need a Battle Royal to get back in the championship picture, and you didn't really set up any stories, I think, outside of it, and there was nobody else in the match that felt like they were going to win it at any point. Like, that was a complete waste of time.
That Battle Royal was a clusterfuck from start to end.
That was terrible. Jungle Boy and Phoenix could have been shorter than it was. I guess Eddie and Sammy was fine, but the booking at the end of it was stupid, which actually also took up time in retrospect.
We're gonna talk about that too, because I have something for news and notes that sorts of like it might lead into.
Yes.
But I'll say this at the very least: something like the Battle Royal, they're live. The whole way things kind of played out didn't make sense. I guarantee you, when we see it Friday night, it'll probably be a little more cohesive. But I think they are setting something up with that battle royal that we just don't know about yet. And it could be with a couple people re-emerging after some time off.
Let's hope so.
But yeah, it was long. And to your point, Kate, the people who suffered were Ricky Starks and Hobbs. The story they've been building, they were the main event, and people were just so spent. It's Wednesday night. It's not a Saturday, right?
No.
Like, I mean, it's a school night, you know.
And I tweeted this, and a lot of people agreed, which made me happy. I was like, I don't know if it's because it was already 12:15 at night, or if it was because the booking was so asinine. But I think a lot of people were sticking around for Eddie Kingston, and the booking that they had around that match. So I felt like the energy just evaporated from the room after that.
People left. I watched it as it was. I was like, "Oh, there goes everyone."
And it was also 12:15 at night, but I think a lot of people went home unhappy with what they did with the ending of that match. So, but like the end of the opener was one of the coolest things we've ever seen, right? So like, I think it was just Tony Khan was spread too thin from not only this much content, or whoever's booking was not only spread too thin from this much content, but they probably had a very different Grand Slam planned when like 4 of your marquee talent are suspended and or injured. So I think this is a lot to book anyway, and then they had to take all these detours to get here. So
right. So
can we go to commercial so I can get my charger, or do you guys mind if I just go get my charger?
You can go. There were 2 comments I wanted to touch on before we.
Okay, I'll go get it real quick.
Well, I'll move you off camera. So one thing from Asian Joe. Asian Joe said, would they ever do a 2-night Grand Slam, 1 night for Dynamite, 1 night for 1 hour Rampage live, and they could record Dark, so do a total of 2 hours? I would guess no, because it's probably too expensive to book that building 2 nights, and I don't think they would sell a second night just based on Rampage. I think you have to, if you wanted to do that, you'd have to do a 2-hour Rampage. But to be honest,
and it would have to be stacked, and it wasn't stacked.
Yeah. The other thing too is the crowd was good, and they announced that this was the first ever $1 million, live gate for Dynamite. So that was good, but the building wasn't packed out. Like, you still could have gotten seats in the way up. Like, there were sections of the higher sections that you could certainly find some seats. So, Joe, I don't think that's in the cards, just because I don't think they could sell it out 2 nights, and it's got to be expensive to book that venue.
So no, and I think they would try and do a 2-night pay-per-view before they did that, just for fiscal reasons.
Right. And then Eric Freeds was asking, when they do the switch to from Dynamite to Rampage, concessions still going, or do they stop like in the baseball game after the 7th inning? No, concessions were running pretty much all night. They have to stop the booze, I think, at like 10 or 11 o'clock.
Yes.
Which kind of sucked, because at one point we were looking, like Mrs. Money and I were looking for coffee. The only place you could get coffee was at what they called the open bar, which was the concessions that only sells booze. They were all closed at the start of Rampage. So I walked around the whole.
You just shouldn't need coffee to get through a wrestling show. That's ridiculous.
I mean, I probably could have used like a Red Bull or something, even at like 9 o'clock, because I was up at like 7 yesterday. So, but yeah, so they definitely continue to sell concessions. They're not fucking stupid, because people are buying till the very end.
Yes.
All right, so let's see. Anything else? Anything you guys want to call out about the trip? Millionaire Matt couldn't be here tonight, like we said. He's still dealing with his third-party investigation, but he had a blast. So always fun seeing going to a show with Millionaire Matt.
He did. It was just fun to also be doing this again, because we did it in AC, and that was so fun. And we've done Newark and Long Island a couple times, and those ROH overnights were like some of my favorite wrestling memories ever. So it was just nice to get to do this, because we we had 5 shows in a very short amount of time, and then we had no shows for a lot of time. So it was just nice
Right.
to be back at a live professional wrestling show, like TV caliber one again. Because ROH is shut down too. It's not like we're going to Maryland anytime soon. So.
Right. Yeah. It's we're still sort of in a holding pattern with Ring of Honor. And we'll definitely be talking Ring of Honor coming up here in a few minutes. But it's worth noting, I guess, our next group show will be AEW's Full Gear pay-per-view in Newark, New Jersey. And listen, I don't mean to toot our own horn here.
Toot it.
We secured our bag yesterday.
We did.
Because the money contingency of this podcast decided we're not going to sit with the rubes on the midway, the common marks, the plebes.
Midway.
Yeah, the plebes out in the standard crowd. We are going to be, by the way, this is going to be a mashup trip. This is going to be a Wizards Mark Order joint trip.
In the trip for brand supremacy.
Well, we know who we know who that is. But anyway,
squash.
We're living it up in style. We will be in a suite.
Too sweet.
In a 2-suite. For
Damn
Full
right.
Gear. And believe it or not, guys, I don't think we knew yesterday, but we are pretty much sold out in our box.
I didn't, but Matt texted me earlier and was like, "Hey, just making sure you can go because they are flying."
Yeah.
These
Yeah.
sweets.
We are pretty much full in our box, so things are looking good. We've got our seats.
What I understand, we're not paying much more than what the pre-sale was. From what I understand, tickets were expensive for this, from what I saw online. So we killed it. You killed it. We killed it.
You know, I don't mean
it was all killed.
I can tell you this much. If you want it, like for Rampage, because they're running Rampage on the Friday night. Now we're not doing we haven't talked about it, but I don't think we're doing the Rampage. Like it's just whatever.
Maybe on the Rampage, but not as like a group thing. Yeah.
Well, excuse me. Kate's got better friends.
Well, no, you guys just didn't want to go to it, but I still might.
I didn't say I didn't want to go to it, but we're definitely not doing it in a box.
No.
But I could tell you the price difference, but for even a box for a suite between the two, it was like a $1,500, $2,000 difference between the two nights. So they definitely are upcharging the pay-per-view.
Whoa.
Well, the pay-per-view is going to be what, 5 hours again? You know, you're going 7 to midnight.
Oh, it'll be 23 hours. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the way we're going to play it, yeah, it's going to be.
I'll get home at 4 a.m. again.
Schlong, why don't you just stay over? It's a Saturday.
It's possible now. I didn't listen. Last year, they ended Rampage last year for Arthur Ashe at 12. Like I remember it being like, oh, they must not want to pay union or whatever. So I got home at 3 and 4. I know it's only an hour, but it's a big fucking hour at that time.
That's a big hour, especially when you had to drop off that blonde bitch on the way.
I know. I tried to just kick her off of the highway, but it didn't work.
No,
dude, I would have driven into I would have driven into a ravine 18 times at that hour of the night. I don't know.
Oh, maybe. I thought you were taking a car with me. I was like, that's harsh.
I mean, you're right. I've been in that situation. So power to you.
I couldn't figure out how to do it where I wouldn't get hurt, Ant. See, that was why. I was like,
you got to get
even if
one
I
of those,
swing it.
Yeah, you get one of those Tesla, self-drivers that doesn't really self-drive.
There you go.
Well, a lot of fun last night. Our next one will be Full Gear.
Well, it looks like there's been enough talk, Ant.
What does that mean? What are we going to do? We're not talking Rampage tonight.
For your commercial break.
Event.
Well, then I'm not going to say anything else. We're just going to go to our commercial, and we'll be back with a couple, with a Dynamite sort of recap. And I don't know about you guys. I didn't watch the show yet, so I have no idea what happened between matches, what commentary said. So we're just going to give you our perspective from what happened there live on the ground. But we'll be back to go through Rampage Dynamite afterward from some of the other great shows. And notice I said some of the other great shows on the Shining Wizards Network.
Everyone knows a lot of things can change in the span of 10 years. But when it comes to professional wrestling podcasting, one thing is still guaranteed. The Shining Wizards is the only place to get all the latest wrestling news, interviews with the greatest guests, and of course, tons of laughs in discussing the world of wrestling. The show is still available on Monday nights at 7 p.m. East on rantdmradio.com and Rant Entertainment Media on the TuneIn app. And it's still available on all podcasting platforms. To check us out, head over to shiningwizards.com, where it's still wrestling talk and talk about wrestling.
Because of the obvious threat to untold numbers of citizens, and because of the crisis which is even now developing, this radio station will remain on the air day and night. This station and hundreds of other radio and TV stations throughout this part of the country are pooling their resources through an emergency network hookup to keep you informed of all developments.
Horns up, everyone. When on the Shining Wizards Network, be sure every Friday to check out Radioactive Metal. Radioactive Metal is one of the longest running podcasts on the interweb. And every week we bring you a fist full of metal, including interviews with all your favorite artists, discuss all the metal news, and feature the best tunes on the air today. So grab a Lemmy, join your cool Uncle Snowy and co-host Aaron in the pit.
Your recognized symbol of excellence in sports entertainment broadcasting from the current to the way back. Join the Impact player Phil Brea and the Portuguese man of war Choppy for the Turnbuckle Throwbacks Wrestling Podcast. Live every week on rantemradio.com. Get all our episodes over at iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, Audio Boom, Google Play, ShiningWizardsNetwork.com, and TurnbuckleThrowbacks.com.
Are you tired of being told what to think and believe by Hollywood elites and politicians who just don't care about you?
Tired of not getting the truth when you watch the news?
Tired of trying to figure out what pronoun to use?
Tired of mob mentality when all you want to do is think for yourself and make up your own mind?
That's where we come in. This is Justin
and Vince,
your host of Inconclusive Breakdown.
We are a weekly anti-PC podcast bringing you entertainment and current event news without any spin.
If you want to truly stay informed on what's going on in the world, then give us a listen every Sunday, anywhere you get podcasts, at least till Zuckerberg and Twitter Jack deplatform us.
And as always, we're proud members of the Shining Wizards Network.
Tired of the PC police telling you what you can and cannot say? Want a show that travels back to the 80s and 90s, where the badass hosts have beaten down cancel culture on 3 separate occasions and carried on to gloat about it? Since 2013, The Midnight Jury is that show. Travel back to the malls and arcades, pop in your VHS, and join us where the 80s and 90s return from the dead. Conan, tell them where to find us.
WLWstudios.com, home of the Midnight Jury podcast, hosted by Midnight Mike and Calvin Brody.
Also available on all major podcast platforms via the Shining Wizards Network, and join in the conversation on Twitter at Midnight Jury.
What's up, wrestling fans? You want something awesome? Check out Wrestling Night in Canada here on the Shining Wizards Network. We're 3 Canadian metalheads uniting for the love of pro wrestling. Every episode we go over all the latest news and special events with the odd unique interview as well. So grab a cold one and check out Wrestling Night in Canada, eh?
Oh man, it's great to hear those commercials again.
Yes, they are wonderful.
We had some fun backstage during that one. Ryan was distracted by his phone, but Ant and I had
Usually,
fun.
usually it's Ant and I dancing, so
I'm always dancing.
We
You
did
guys
more
gotta
than dance.
listen, guys. As an older member of the Mark Order, you guys got to put the phones down and just live in the moment sometimes. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
it's-
it could
it's
harken
not
us
necessar-
back to the 80s and 90s if we put our phones down.
In fairness to me, it's not so much that the phone is up; it's that I take the headphone out so I don't have to listen to them.
No,
No,
that's
no.
you got to listen to them.
Yeah, keep your headphones in.
Keep the phones in so you can
You
phone
side
home. You know, we if you want to support the Mark Order podcast,
How do we do so?
you can go follow us on any of our social channels at Mark Order Pod. And I think it's youtube.com/Mark Order Pod because there's no at there. But you could just search Mark Order Podcast. We'll come up. Give us a subscribe, find our link tree. And then you could click the first button there to get some free stickers. So all you got
stickers.
That's right. The stickers, the shipping, the handling, everything is free.
What? Shipping and handling is free? Why, I thought that was a minimum of $5.99.
What year is this?
No.
I'm just glad she started to go to sentences because for a second there she was just yelling words.
I know. So click the button.
I'm a little tired, guys.
Yeah. So click the button in the link tree for free stickers.
What? A link tree?
That's right. What that is, Ryan, is it's a
Gimmick
link.
Infringement.
What?
Gimmick infringement.
Listen, all you people on this show like to steal gimmicks.
Oh,
I feel
you
sometimes like
people,
I'm the
can't you
only
see,
one.
Can't you see how your love's affecting our
No one's stealing this
reality?
bullshit. No one.
No, he already stole that. You were the one who used to sing.
It's true.
He's
Diet
stolen.
Kate over here.
Kate,
I've never been diet anything, so.
Kate, do you remember? And I'm gonna go back to stickers because I want to get this out. But do you remember before the Mark Order podcast when we were doing bonus content during the quarantine?
Of
For
course.
some other show that wouldn't be named later. Do you remember how there used to be a certain magic man who would give a live pizza read at the end of every show for Millionaire Matt?
The Pizza Vita, yeah, of course I do.
So Schlong, I don't know if you remember, a certain magic man gave those reads, and they were all just. It was different every week. If you call up and ask for the sardine special, Matt will come over to your house and give you a hand job, or call up and order in the voice of Macho Man, and Matt will answer you back like Hulk Hogan, whatever. Like it was all different shit. Well, at one point there was a fifth member who
4.5.
4.5. Okay. Well, yeah, it was sort of like sometimes sort of, but a fifth Van Daminator who would come in and he stole that one night. Like literally, we get to the end and he throws that out there, and the certain magic man goes, "Well, that's never happening again. That gimmick's done." He never did it again. And I asked him numerous times, "Can you please? I actually think it's really funny." He was like, "I'm never doing it again. Stole my gimmick. It's over. Never again. Never again."
I have respect for Danny
Hey, those
Magic.
were so funny though. When he
They
used
were
to do it.
so good. They were
They were
so
very good. I'll give him credit for
But I
those.
respect being like, I'm not going to do it.
Oh, and
His-
it was dead. It was dead. It was dead after that. Like not even. And we saw it die in real time, and it never came back.
His quote unquote hot takes were lukewarm at best, but that gimmick was fantastic.
Danny just kind of liked everything like Ryan does.
Who?
Yeah.
Mr. Magic.
Okay.
Let's not get offensive about medium level takes. Some
Well, you
of us
don't
live
pretend
there.
yours are hot. You just
No, that was it. It was always a hot take, and I believe at one point was saying, "I'm the voice of reason." Who says that?
No, ridiculous.
Just terrible. Anyway, you want free stickers for the Mark Order podcast so you can
Of course
support
you
us?
do.
You could go to the link tree in our social channels, click the button for free stickers, and then all you need to do is give us your full name so we know who we're mailing them to, your full mailing address so I can actually mail them out. Somebody who submitted without their full address still has not sent me their address. I'm like, come on, man, I want to send you stickers. And then also give us the country you live in so I know exactly where I'm sending them, because I need to make sure I'm giving you correct postage.
There you go.
That's all
And
I
your social
need.
security number and credit card numbers.
No. Please don't
Blood
bury the
type.
lead. Fake news. Come on.
Passport, license plate.
I will send you out some free stickers.
Ooh, look at
Some
those.
free stickers. Some version A, some version B, 1.0, 2.0. I don't remember what we're doing. But I'll send you those out, and then you can put them on your laptop, put them on your water bottle. If you're inclined to damage property and put them on street signs, that's up to you, but I don't
If you're
condone
going
that.
shirtless and need to cover some sensitive parts, you can use them for that.
You know, I wish I had brought them to Riot Fest. I didn't even talk about that. But I wish I brought them to Riot Fest, because I would have said to somebody who I saw walking, well, Mrs. Money saw somebody walking around legit topless, a lady just letting it all hang out. I would have been like, ma'am, do you need some pasties? Here you go. Have a couple of these. They're round.
Perfect.
They're perfect.
They are.
Before we move on, I should mention that's why I wasn't here last week, guys. I was out in Chicago, and I told you about it a little bit in the car. It was pretty wild. We won't go into it here because it'll take another hour to get through. Mexican Independence Day, wild in Chicago. Just one of the wildest things I've ever seen. Riot Fest was a lot of fun. And if you go check
Was it
out
a riot?
Oh God, everybody does it. I did see the bean, and I flicked it because Matt told me to go flick some bean, and I did. And the other thing is I randomly get too sweeted because I was wearing my my Bullet Club sleeveless tee. It was a little hot out. And, get to talking to the fella, and he said, I work for Pro Wrestling Tees, and I do their social. And I was like, cool. And I didn't really, I wasn't sure. So I said, okay. And then there you go. We pop up the other day on Pro Wrestling Tees. And I had no idea on the thumbnail, on the preview image. He knows beauty when he sees it.
Yeah. And look at the way you follow that up as a fucking fashion icon.
Trendsetter. Trendsetter.
That's
so,
it.
Riot Fest was a lot of fun, but it's a working trip. Saw a lot of good bands. Some bands that were very disappointing. But
what was the worst?
I'll tell you what the worst was. Well, I didn't even see the worst. I don't remember who it was, but somebody covered Limp Bizkit's Break Stuff, and it was some sort of Machine Gun Kelly like ripoff. So that kind of sucked. But my personal worst was because it was so disappointing. Does anybody, Kate, you probably do because you were in college radio around the same time, the Juliana Theory?
Yeah. Oh my God.
They're like elder emo at this point, right?
Yeah.
So I was very excited because they were playing Riot Fest. And I booked them in college to headline our Battle of the... And they were fantastic. And I liked the Juliana Theory. Emotion is Dead is still in rotation in my queue, but I know that they broke up and got back together, so I was looking forward to this. Oh, he cannot do the vocals anymore.
Oh no.
So he dropped down an octave, right, which is fine, but then he couldn't even hit that. So like I turned to Gina, and it was like one of the songs off that album that I really like, and he just wasn't hitting it. And I said to G, we can leave. I don't want to.
Yeah,
I don't want
ruin
to
it
ruin
for yourself.
Yeah. So that kind of stunk. But the headliners every night were very good. I'm not a huge My Chemical Romance fan, but they put on a fantastic show. And I was, I saw them in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, perform for like 20 people. I saw them at the Bloomfield Avenue Cafe, perform for maybe like 100 people. I saw them, I think, at one point open for somebody at the Starland Ballroom. Gina saw them play the Club Chrome. So we had never seen them on like an arena level sort of
awesome.
Scope. It's very good, but I kind of stopped with them right at the Black Parade. That one just didn't hit for me. But they put on a great show. The only disappointing thing is I go to Gina. They will never play this one song that I want them to hear, so we can go because it was from the first album. And we get to, you have lockers you can rent at Riot Fest. So we rented a locker. So we get to our locker, which is well away from the stage, and you can still hear everything. And as we now got all our stuff to leave early,
Really?
they start playing that song. Yeah. So I heard it
Happened
on
to
the
me
radio.
with Clutch, I think.
So my chem was good.
I didn't ask
Original
who was good.
Misfits played. They were
I said,
very good.
Who was bad?
What?
I didn't
Oh, no,
ask who
you
was
asked.
good. I said who was bad.
And then Nine Inch Nails was great. So
Of
a lot of
course.
fun. Anyway, so guys, this would normally be the point in the night where we get into Dynamite, but we get into a little thing called the rankings. I got some news for you from the rumor mill. Meltzer is reporting via the Wrestling Observer Radio that the rankings are, quote, not dead, but have been toned down.
I did it.
He said there was a decision not to emphasize them as much on television, but they can always go back to doing so. So there's no rankings. I don't think there's been rankings
my
for
God.
weeks now. So
You know what happened is Matt hasn't been here in a while, and they were like, "Well, if Matt's not going to wrap them, what's the point of even having
there's
them?"
no
So,
point.
Yeah,
There's
it's
no
pretty
point.
much useless. So I get it.
So no rankings, but I thought it was just an interesting point. They've been toned back apparently. So
Good, sons of bitches.
I always like Kate's take on the rankings. You
In
know
or
what,
out?
Ryan?
Follow them or don't.
Ryan?
In or out?
Kate just doesn't like fun.
She doesn't like fun.
She doesn't like fun.
I love Orange Cassidy.
You know
Doesn't-
how I got to like fun? See, when I was a young boy, my father, he took me into the city
Oh my God!
to
And
see a marching band.
Did he is that My Chemical Romance?
Yes.
Oh,
Black
I had
Parade.
I don't. Dude, I heard that song one time and I was like, well, that was fun. I was like, that was a fun ride.
My father.
Can I tell you guys, do you know there was an album after that? I don't know what it was, but I believe it was some sort of like superhero comic or, like concept album type thing. I know one song off that album that I didn't know was actually them. And somebody pointed out to me, it might have been Gina, Mrs. Money, was like, oh my God, because I think that song was used in like a Nissan commercial. It's like na 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 or something like that. That's actually the title of the song. And I actually think it's na 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 parentheses na 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 close parentheses.
Get the fuck out of here with that shit. Them, Fall Out Boy, they can all go fuck themselves. This is like a Matt Bowman level take from me.
But Kate, here's what I couldn't believe. That was like the third song they played, and people went ape shit. I couldn't believe it. I turned to G and I was like, this is like a New Jersey sellout song for me. Like, I don't understand. I also kind of get disappointed with my chem because their old stuff all says from Newark, New Jersey, because they were. And then it was like from Bloomfield, New Jersey. Okay, yes, that also held water because they moved out to Bloomfield. Then I think at one point it was Clifton and then Brooklyn, then Los Angeles. And I was like, come on.
Boo.
Got so far away.
They suck. I hate all
Guys,
those bands.
I also forgot. I had never heard of this wrestler, but it appears that she had an exclusive figure, one of 3,000 from Shop AEW. So I decided to get one. Have you ever heard of this Shida? Shida?
She was a part of AEW years ago, but not so.
Yeah.
Sheeta. I
Is it Sheeta?
I haven't heard that name in years.
Sorry, I'm listening to na 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 na.
Oh my God.
Anyway, I don't know how we got pulled back off topic again, but
Because we're us.
yeah, that's right. So why don't we talk about Dynamite? And again, we can really only comment, I guess, on what we saw happen live. I do have a rundown that I'll go through.
Yeah, but none of us saw that shit.
No. But I'm just saying so that I have like points because there were some promos and there was, the matches.
Fair enough.
So guys, we opened up with what I think we all thought was going to open. Jericho versus Claudio.
I did not.
You did not. Well,
I thought it would be the Acclaimed versus Swerve and Glory.
Oh, well then, I guess the Money Crew thinks the same way. We were
Here comes the monies.
That's right.
Monies.
And the money contingent, by the way, by the money contingency, I mean Mrs. Money, Aunt Money, and Millionaire Matt.
Wow.
Here comes the three-way.
Whoa.
Devil's threesome.
You can't just put Mrs. Money in a three-way if it doesn't involve Claudio and Tony Nese.
And Christian.
Well, that's how she gets Claudio and Tony Nese.
Got it.
I'll remember this, Ryan. If this comes back to haunt me tomorrow, I'll be like, I didn't talk shit. Brian put you in a three-way.
I was excited this started, and we knew.
Gina was just watching.
Well,
Are you done?
No.
Are you done?
Yeah.
Well, they brought out Bobby Cruz and Ian Riccaboni, so that was like the
Right.
tip off before the match was like before anybody made entrances and stuff.
Right.
So that was
And
fun.
so when the show officially hit, we saw that obviously before the show went on the air. We saw Riccaboni, and they didn't announce Riccaboni, did they? They
did.
He was just.
They did.
Oh, I must have been talking to Matt or Gina or something. I missed it.
You guys were talking shit on a guy wearing a whatever his
Rice
name
Bowl
jersey.
Oh, it was the skull? That was when that happened? Oh, it was a lot. I was laughing. It was a lot of fun to make fun of somebody wearing a pedophile jersey. So Jericho and Claudio opened up. They did announce that Ring of Honor ambassador and former owner Carrie Have a Few Drinks Silkin was ringside for this one. And then we get into the match. Guys, I don't know about you. I thought it was going to go this way, but I was very surprised when it actually happened. We'll cut straight to the end. Jericho wins the Ring of Honor World Championship by pinfall with the Judas Effect. Now, we should back it up just a tad. There was some shenanigans here. Now, this is going to be important because I'm going to touch on something with this in news and notes. So I do want to call this out, that Aubrey Edwards got sort of backed into the corner, almost hit by Claudio. So she is kind of like turned in the corner. Claudio says, I apologize. He turns back around to Jericho, who hits him with the low blow and then lines him up for the Judas Effect, gets the pinfall. So, excuse me, Aubrey misses that and counts the 3. Jericho's the champ. JAS comes out to celebrate. Garcia is reluctant to join in, but he does high five the Wizard, and they celebrate and they go back to the back. Jericho also goes full heel with this, and he uses Silken as a human shield at one point in this match, and then decides to throw him down and kick him or punch him himself. So really interesting stuff here. Now I'm gonna go to Kate because it looks like she's bleeding from the mouth, biting her tongue.
Oh no, I didn't hate this.
You didn't. I thought you hated it.
I didn't hate it. I'm just frustrated because it's more ROH overall. Like, there's 2 schools of thought on this for me. One is that they're very close to TV, and you're gonna have Garcia versus Jericho title for title as like full on pay-per-view match for whatever this new era is gonna be or whatever. The other is that they're nowhere near TV, and you just have Jericho, because he has a ton of screen time, having that title around his waist makes a lot of sense. And you can even do that title play out on AEW television as well. But if they're not anywhere near TV, this promotion is not in a better spot than they were before they got bought out. Like, this has just been very, very long. I understand that there's been one merger and that there's a second one that looks like it might be on the horizon. So I completely get it. But at the same time, like, you've got to do something. And I just was hoping there was more of a plan in place. I understand why a Jonathan Gresham would be pissed, because he lost it for what? For Claudio to hold open challenges on television? Like, this hasn't gone anywhere. It also does feel like a contrast of Jericho holding this particular title, but I think it's meant to, so I'm okay with that. Like, I think I'm not supposed to want Jericho to have this title because he's been doing the sports entertainer gimmick, and ROH is like the wrestler's brand, right? So I think as long as it leads to one of 2 things, Garcia winning it from Jericho could be a very fun story, or Danielson being your ROH champion if he's not going to be holding the world title picture, which, spoiler alert, we saw that later, that he would not be. I'm okay with either of those stories. I just hope that TV is around the corner, because I just feel like this just right now, ROH just feels like secondary belts on AEW. Like, it does not feel like there's a promotion around this at all. So it's a little tricky.
My take was, I think that you put it on Jericho because he gets more screen time. He's on Friday nights on Rampage, right? So you can always be, Ring of Honor champion Chris Jericho, that kind of stuff. Plus it's going to make news, right? Like, hey, Jericho wins the Ring of Honor title. He's an 8-time world champion.
The Ocho, like ESPN.
They already have those shirts, which is fantastic. Chris
That
Jericho,
is amazing.
The Ocho.
My only thing with that is you didn't need to take it off of, in my opinion, because Cesaro has like 2 million Twitter followers and was having open challenges and on TV most weeks. I think every week since he's gotten there. That isn't that big of an advance. I don't really have a problem with Jericho having it. I just feel like Cesaro fits the title and was also checking those boxes, in my opinion. Is Jericho a bigger deal? Probably, but I don't think it was like Cesaro was so it's not like Wheeler Yuta's holding it or whatever, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's still a marquee name. As long as they pay it off, which they won my trust with that in the men's division. That's okay. I just really hope that television's coming to ROH soon. I also just miss it in the wrestling landscape. Like, I loved that brand. So.
And Schlong, do you think that it's gonna? I mean, I think it'll set it up, but I think we're getting to Jericho Garcia, right?
I think we're getting to Jericho Danielson first, where Jericho goes to cheat to hold on to the belt. Garcia stops him from finally cheating. Danielson wins the ROH title. You get Jericho Garcia. That's where I think we go. And then you have Danielson with the title. I also think obviously I'm the least insider of insiders. I have no inside sources. There's a lot of logic that if you're getting TV, Jericho's not a bad person to do, not maybe your first TVs, but even if the pay-per-view leading into it of like Jericho Danielson headlining that pay-per-view or whatever, that's like an event to be like, and now we're back, and now we're back. If not, I'm with Kate, like, but at the same point, if you're nowhere near TV, you almost have to kind of start using it as a prop, because what else is it going to do? It's just going to sit there. It's a weird situation. Like they need to figure it out one way or another. Are they anywhere close or are they nowhere close? If you're nowhere close, then giving it to Jericho just to keep attention on it is worthless. You have to figure out something else. If you're close, if you're semi-close, I can understand giving it to Jericho for a little bit. And if you're really close, I definitely understand giving it to Jericho. Claudio will recover, though, because he's Claudio and he's awesome.
Yeah, I don't think they'll have, a problem finding something for Claudio to get involved with. So I don't think there's a problem there. Yeah, and listen, the quality of the match I thought was also very good. Listen, the one thing, and I think I said it to Matt just because of the way we were sitting. I don't know if you guys caught it, but I said to Matt that spot they did where Jericho got dropped, his between the ropes. You know what I mean? Like on the top rope. He's straddling the top rope. I said to Matt, like, he agreed to do that. Like Jericho's like, yeah, I'll take that.
He's a very giving opponent. Like he let Claudio listen. Claudio comes out of that match looking super strong. It's just that the low blow is the low blow, and in wrestling, that is the ultimate like finisher. If you get kicked in the balls or punched in the balls, you're done. It's a I hate using this phrase, but I really think it's a let it play out scenario.
I agree that I think Jericho has to be one of the most selfless, if not most selfless performer that they have. Like that guy is. I remember years ago when they were both in WWE, I read an interview where he said that the swing is like the worst thing to take for him. Like it just makes him so dizzy. He's so disoriented at it. He was like, I'd rather take a million bumps, like hard hitting ones, than the swing. He just hates it. And he was the one that was like, you have to do this on top of the cage to me because the crowd's going to go nuts. Like, he is a selfless in-ring performer. I thought the match with Mox was Jericho's best in a really long time. I thought the second one with Danielson was really close. And this one I thought was very good. It's just like Cesaro, because of the style that they were wrestling. Like, I felt like Cesaro had to slow down a little bit more than he normally does. Like, when Cesaro gets that momentum going, he's one of the most entertaining performers in the world, I think. So I felt like this was a little bit slower, but it was still a great match, a great way to kick off the show.
A huge surprise if you were in the crowd there. The crowd was very loudly, cheering for Jericho, but I think it was a shock.
The crowd, I felt like, was really good because I felt like they were cheering for everyone all night. Like, heels, faces, they were just like a very hot crowd the whole time. We'll talk about the Acclaim stuff coming up, but like that Jericho entrance, they were totally in on, but they were also going nuts for Claudio. Definitely was a surprise, I think. I just am a little worried because I'm like, there's been a lot of booking heat recently in Tony Khan world, and I'm like, I like it when people book giving fans what they want, which is one thing I've liked about AEW. And I feel like we're getting a little overwrought with that with Jericho, but like, I also get it because it still makes wrestling sense.
Well, the other thing too is, again, I think we touched on it before, but we also have to keep in mind there were other plans for a number of other wrestlers. The word on the street was after the suspensions, took place, was that wrestlers like Jericho and Moxley and some others who were not planned to be part of big things moving forward will have increased roles now because they have to. So I think that some of this could just be Jericho's doing his part, right? He's just picking up slack because they're down people and people are hurt, and like, where's Adam Cole, and some of these other guys. So listen, I thought this was a fun there you go, and that's a good transition. I thought this was a fun opener, and then we get into our second match of the night, which is Swerve in Our Glory, Swerve and Keith Lee versus the Acclaimed, Bowens and Caster, with Daddy Ass in their corner. So there was a lot kind of going on here. And again, we didn't, we weren't there. We were there live, so we didn't get to hear the commentary. I didn't get to go rewatch the match yet. This is one I want to go watch again. Cutting to the finish, guys. The Acclaimed wind up winning the World Tag Team Championship by pinfall with the mic drop from Caster on Shane Strickland. I think we all thought this had to happen tonight. If it didn't, it was a huge miss. So good on that. But I don't know if it happened on TV, and you guys in the chat can let us know. There were two moments in this match that I was like, what the fuck is going on? The first moment, and I thought it sucked a lot of air out of the room, was when Bowens went to the top rope in one corner and then directly across the way on the other side, not across the ring, but, perpendicular to him. Caster goes up and Bowens hits his move, maybe on Keith Lee, and Caster goes to hit the mic drop, the elbow, and he just kind of like jumps but lands on his feet and grabs his knee. And it completely sucked the air out of the room. Now, if he injured himself, he got through the rest of the match. It wasn't that bad. But that was a little weird, and it kind of led to the rest of this match. And then, Kate, Ryan, somebody keep me honest. At the end of this match, they had Caster up. I think Keith Lee had him on his shoulders up on the ropes. And then he jumped off, and they missed a move. Like, Swerve was supposed to hit some sort of tandem offense off the rope. That was sort of weird. Like, those two weird things just sort of, I wouldn't say they ruined the match, but it definitely kind of killed the momentum that they were building all the way to the finish. Crowd still loved it. The outcome worked, and we got to where we needed to go, but it just was really weird. I mean, you guys know those spots I'm talking about, right?
Well, I think the caster spot was designed to do that. I think they were trying to sell you on. They knew going in that everyone knew they were going to win. I mean, there was, I guess, a little bit of doubt in everyone's head, but I'm pretty sure everyone fully expected them to win. So I think they built in the caster spot to be like, try to, for lack of a better term, because he's a guy named Swerve is in the match, but swervy a little bit of like, oh no, are they going to have to call something on the fly? I even said to Kate, like, I hope this isn't real.
Well, Freed said they called it an injury on TV, but it was it was a botch.
Well, no, he's saying it's a botch. I don't think it was a botch. I think he went to go off, pretended he landed wrong and hurt himself because he sold it instantly. Like, I think it was all intentional. I don't know about the second one. The second one I would need to hear commentary for.
That was the weirder one of the two, actually. I don't want to sound like an asshole or whatever, but I think Max Caster in ring wise still has a long way to go. I think Bowens is great. I think Caster has an incredible amount of upside in the personality arena, but I think he's still got a ways to go, and I think that's part of why the injury spot looked weird. I think it was planned, but I don't think it was pulled off the way that it was supposed to. I have not watched it back, so I do not know.
Right.
The second spot just felt very sitting between Matt and Ryan was funny because Ryan said, I think they're trying to sell the story that Swerve and Keith Lee are not on the same page because they've been telling that story a little bit as time has gone on. Right. But what I saw, and Matt was like, nah, that was fucked up, I think. They're so good at tandem offense that it stood out like a sore thumb either way. So whether that was intentional to Ryan's theory or it was just a botch spot, it was a really big botch. And there were a couple of what the fuck was that moments. I think it's also a little tricky because their first match on the pay-per-view was just lightning in a bottle. I do think it was the right decision because I think if we get Keith Lee versus Swerve, that's just going to be a phenomenal feud. And on top of that, one thing that I think is a common criticism of Tony Khan, it's not a serious one, I don't think, but one that I also share, is sometimes the only thing he's not good at, booking wise, I feel is sometimes he gets so married to his long-term plan, which is ultimately a good thing. He doesn't necessarily strike while the iron's hot and switch comfortably within those plans. And the iron is hot right now for the Acclaimed. And I don't know if they're a team you can just heat back up like you can. Bryan Danielson's always going to be hot. The Acclaimed, I think you have to capitalize on the moment because it is a little gimmickier. So I think you do right now pull the trigger on them, let them have their title reign. I don't think it needs to be super long. But I think it was absolutely the right call. The crowd was insane for it. There were Scissor Me Daddy t-shirts all over the fucking place. There were fans just scissoring their fucking fingers all outside the whole night. And they're both from the area. Max Caster is Long Island, Bowens is Jersey. So it makes sense. The crowd went nuts for it, but there were a couple things in the match that still overall a very good match. A couple of eyebrow raisers, not as awesome as the pay-per-view, but still really solid stuff. And to me, I think Swerve just continues to be such a special wrestler. He's such a unique combination of things in ring-wise. As is Keith Lee. Nobody his size should be able to move the way he does, but he does. So they're a fun tag team considering they weren't ever supposed to be one until they got here, They gelled really quickly. So successful reign for them, I think. It didn't need to be long. It needed to get to this point.
And they were selling a lot of the not on the same page stuff, right? Swerve hit Keith Lee in the face with the boombox. Keith Lee sort of led to the distraction that led to the famouser to the mic drop, so I think we are going to see that split coming up here in the coming weeks, right? I think after the match too, I don't know what made it to TV. This doesn't necessarily say, but they basically Swerve looked annoyed. Keith Lee, kind of gave a handshake to them on the ramp. So, you could just tell, like, Swerve is still not happy with this. So, yeah, I'm excited for the breakup. Ryan, what did you think? I guess those botch spots, whatever you want to call them, and sort of the finish here. Did it really affect anything for you?
Well, it's like I said, I think only one was a botch. I think Caster was 100% intentional, just to keep people on their toes on what the finish could be. The second one, Kate said what my initial thought was, which was I thought it was to tell a story, but it could just be pure luck that their botch happens to fit into a story they're telling, so it could work. Did not take away at all because I was so excited for it. Like Kate said, they had to, because who knows with them if in a month they would have this kind of excitement. Though I do think if you give them a couple more really good, like, now championship defenses before they lose the belts to, say, like FTR, that will help them out in the long term if people can appreciate that when they have a match, it's going to be highly entertaining. Like right now they're getting over with the Scissor Me and all that, but that pay-per-view match was, as just a match, outstanding. Yep. So like if they can have a couple more like that, that'll help them on the long term. I can't wait for Keith Lee and Swerve to feud. Those two are amazing. I love the way Keith Lee, I don't know whose idea it was to basically, you sell the beginning of the match where Keith Lee won't be taken down, you can't get him, and then Caster gets him, and it, like, everything changed. And I was like, that's such a good story. He's in, so and Swerve should be a world champ sooner rather than later. He is got everything you could ever want in a wrestler.
Now, there's a question in the chat from Eric Freeds. How long would you keep the belts on the Acclaimed? Until Full Gear or longer?
Winter is coming. I think let them have a successful title defense at Full Gear. I'd probably pull it off of them for Winter is coming and hand it over to FTR to build something out really fun for Revolution. I think that is a nice cadence. I don't think they need to hold it super, super long. But I think you let them get through Full Gear.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And I just don't remember historically, is Winter is coming January, or does that happen before the turn of the new year?
I feel like it happens in December, but let me actually look that up, because
they might have changed it last year and the year before.
I feel like it's late December.
Schlong, what do you think? Would you pull it off him at Full Gear, or would you give him a little more time?
Ooh. Full Gear feels close, but it really depends on what you plan for. I'm assuming it's going to be FTR. What you plan for FTR? If you have some really good matches with FTR that you want to hit, I wouldn't wait too long to do them, because we've seen what injuries and stuff could happen. So FTR should get that. But if you are going to pull it off them on Full Gear, you got to give them a couple weeks in a row of just some really good defenses. Like, let them build up a resume of having defended the title a bunch.
Right.
It was December 2nd in 2020. I don't know what it was last year, but
okay.
I feel like I remember it being on the same side of the year we're in.
Okay. I just couldn't remember. I felt like maybe they might have done it in January, but who knows? All right, guys, actually, what we didn't see live is that after that match, FTR were interviewed backstage. Wheeler said all four guys killed it, congratulated the Acclaim before saying they've been number one contenders since April. They'd like their shot now, please. And that's when the Ass Boys rolled up to make fun of them. And then we go to break. So, the interesting thing is we didn't see anything going on like backstage live in the arena last night. And I think I even said to Mrs. Money at one point, I'm like, there's got to be stuff they're showing on TV right now. Like, I'm surprised we're not seeing it. They really didn't show us anything. We've been at their shows before, and they usually do show you what's going on back there, but not last night.
Yeah, that was a little funny. That was a little bit weird.
A little weird. So, guys, after this, we get our interview with Wheeler Yuta. But before Yuta can get some words out, that's when you know who comes out. He's salt of the earth. He's better than you. And you know it. It's Maxwell Jacob Friedman, MJF. And he, what I thought was funny, he said the devil's here, and that makes us all devil worshippers. And he addressed Yuta, saying Wheeler will never get a reaction like he did, and it's not because he's mid. It's because he's a god to these people, and they adore and worship him. Not a single man in this arena that wouldn't let MJF sleep with their wife, and the only reason he doesn't is he has standards.
And a fiance now. Come on.
Very true. He does call himself a generational talent. Yuta mock claps for him before admitting there's some truth to what he says. He's a generational talent, sure, but he also has more catchphrases than friends, and he's a master of the low-hanging fruit, and brings up MJF's engagement and congratulates him. He says she's a wonderful young lady and smart, maybe a little too smart, because she's already figured out what the rest of us know, that MJF is a spineless, worthless piece of human garbage. And she's going to walk out on him just like he did AEW. That's when Max says Wheeler has evolved from drying paint to pet rock on the personality scale. That made me laugh, by the way. And says he came out there to wish him wish the Blackpool Cuckold Club, in fighting to be the one to lose the title to MJF. But you can still ask your mentors for advice, like go to Danielson to ask how to be injury prone, and Moxley's not all there, so don't even bother with him. Or he can ask William Regal to learn how to pop pills. And that's when Yuta shoves Mox, Friedman returns with a headbutt, and then the ultimate heel move, you guys. He shoves Shivani and knocks him over. Shivani! And that's when Yuta takes down MJF, wails on him till WMRC comes out to make the save. He chokes him out, and then MJF clobbers Wheeler Yuta with the Dynamite Diamond Ring, and security arrives. All guys who look like we've seen him on Dark Elevation before. But I don't know about you guys.
So, real quick.
Yeah.
That shove on Shivani, smartest thing he could have ever done.
It's the only way he was going to get booed.
He was cheered from the moment his music hit. Wheeler Yuta, who has fan support now, was getting booed. And the minute he shoved Shivani, it all changed. It was genius. Him and Tony must have been talking in the back.
That was extremely impressive work because he got a huge babyface reaction and he got deafening boos by the end of that segment in a very short amount of time. That was really impressive work. And sign me up for MJF versus Wheeler Yuta at any point. I would love to see that match.
Yeah, for sure. And this all played very well in the live crowd. Again, don't know how it played on TV, but it did play really well in the live crowd. The arena was loud, and Ryan is absolutely right. The moment he knocked down Shivani, the crowd turned on him. That was it. I mean, cut the shit, Tony, all that stuff. Like, we get it. Ha, 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 ha. But you don't shove the man. He's a legend.
No, and the Regal popping pills line started the turn, and then the Shivani shove was just like all of a sudden these deafening boos, which was great.
Yeah. All right, let's see here. Oh, something else. Sorry, guys, that we didn't see. There was footage of Tony interviewing Jade Cargill earlier in the day, so that happened on TV. Just we didn't see it. They didn't
Good to know.
They didn't even say that anything happened, because sometimes like after Dynamite goes off, they're like, "Oh, this happened earlier in the night, and we didn't get to play it for you live. We'll play it for you now." No, we just got Cocaine Tony Khan screaming into the microphone.
Tony Khan.
Tony Khan. Let's see. And then we roll into our All Atlantic Championship match of the night: Orange Cassidy versus Pac. And guys, Pac retains by pinfall with a lateral press to retain. But again, I'm calling this out here because what happens is that the Orange Punch connects on Pac, he's able to break the count by holding the bottom rope. And then Bastard manages to smack Orange Cassidy with the timekeeper's hammer because he gets out to the floor and he sort of, grabs it without the referee seeing. So they get back inside and he's able to get the win. Remsburg is confused as to why Orange Cassidy is knocked out, but it doesn't matter because Pac gets the win and he's off with his belt. So this is the second. What?
This is, it matters here.
What do you mean it matters here?
Like, this was not Bryce Remsburg's, and I know it's a story now. It was not his best officiating performances.
Usually the Bryce is right.
Usually the Bryce is right, and it's I wanted to Knox it off with some of the refereeing. It's Rick Knox's fault. But this was, now I know it's intentional because I saw Tony Khan's tweet, but I don't like bad officiating being a part of a story. That's stupid.
We don't know if it's what the story is, but we'll get there. Either way, this match was really fun. It did its job because it was fun. It was a really good match, and it annoyed the ever-living shit out of Millionaire Matt.
He can't handle Orange Cassidy fixing his hair all the time, which is like the funniest complaint I've ever heard. Matt has a thing about wrestlers' hair. Like he can't handle Brian Pillman's hair at all. There's some New Japan guys. There's a few that he's like, I can't handle the hair. But this match I thought was great. My only thing is, and it's been spread out over the past 3 years, so it doesn't bug me that much, but Orange Cassidy has had 8 title shots and he's 0-8. So that could be A, a really fun long-term story. B, they need to stop giving him title shots if he's going to keep losing. Or C, momentum for a really fun heel turn that I think would be great for Orange Cassidy. I don't know if they'll ever do it because he's so perpetually over, but I've said for a long time that like apathetic dickhead Orange Cassidy could be very, very fun. So, but that is like a thing. I don't think it feels like a big deal because it's been spread out over so much time. So, but yeah, but the match was great. These two tore it down. You knew they were gonna. Fantastic stuff.
Yeah. So much fun. By the way, kid, I've had the Yankees game on in the background.
I saw the Judge. I've got my Steelers on right now and Judge. So I have.
Did you see how close he just came to winning in a? He came so close to winning in walk-off fashion. Fly ball to center field to the wall.
No.
So close. Schlong, what did you think of the match here?
Orcade had a sit between Matt and I. Matt, who cannot stand Orange Cassidy. I, who love him. I have the correct take, obviously. The hair thing makes me laugh. Matt really... Well, now I want him to do it all the time because Matt hates it so much. 2, it doesn't bother me because it's Orange Cassidy's way of being like, holy shit, like what's going... Like gathering himself. Kate has said it since he came back from his injury. His matches have all been amazing. They've all felt different. Like he threw his glasses to start this match. He was using the pockets as a fake out. Like he was aggressive. It was a kind of a new side to him. Now hearing the 0-8 thing, I don't see him going heel because he's too loved, but that is a great story for an eventual some title win of being like whoever his opponent is, whoever the heel is, you always get here and you never win. You always get here and you never win. And the crowd will be behind them. And then that moment, if they hype it up right. And I don't think their original intention, of course, was to tell this story, but I also don't think it'll get lost to them that it's out there. That's again, for the men, AEW tells really good long-term stories. So that's going to be one I'm looking out for. But the match was awesome. The refereeing, man, they're really going to have to get on Paul Turner. He's going to have to start cracking down.
We're getting there. It's in the
I'm just giving an opinion. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just saying he's the head referee. We all know he's the head referee. Something's got to change. I haven't said a thing. I'm talking about that Pac cheated. Pac cheated.
Well, wait a minute. Did he cheat if the referee didn't see it?
Yes. Yes, he used a hammer.
Let me be your sledgehammer.
Well, all I can tell you is this. As far as the Orange Cassidy fixing his hair, I maintain he does it because he's got to look cool.
Yeah, he's cool. That's what
Right?
cool
He's
people do.
cool. So he's like, "Yep, I'm gonna fix my hair."
Remember John Stamos on Full House? Always fixing his hair because
Not
he was
the
cool
hair.
Uncle Jesse. Yeah.
Guys, we go to the
Until
four-way.
Stephanie cut his hair and accidentally cut off the entire mullet after causing him to have an accident where both his arms were in a cast. So he had like the full body up, not full body, he had the upper body cast, and she was playing fake barber, and she accidentally actually cut his hair, and that's when he went to short hair and he lost the mullet.
Well, the 80s were over at that point. It was okay.
Dropping the Full House knowledge.
I'm a Full House guy.
But it's not a full house tonight because Matt's not here. But that's okay because we got enough of him yesterday.
He's suspended.
I had to buy him a pretzel. It was a whole thing.
Oh, boy. We go to the four-way women's match. Athena versus Dr. Britt Baker. DMD. Versus Serena Deeb versus Toni Storm for the interim.
D.
What?
I'm now convinced that Serena Deeb should have a feud with Britt Baker, and since she's the professor, she should go by PhD.
Okay.
I'm having fun. You don't want to have fun? That's
I
on
just
you.
said okay.
Oh, it was a sarcastic okay.
He acknowledged it.
I did acknowledge it.
Who cares about this match? Let's talk about what happened after.
No. Hold on. I do want to talk about one thing during this match. And not during this match, but I guess around the end of this match. So let's cut to the end. We'll get to the after stuff, but I do want to Tarantino it and go back for a second. So Toni Storm wins by pinfall with the crucifix pin on Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, to retain the interim championship. Post-match, Britt Baker attacks the champ and beats her down. Jamie Hayter runs that perfect coolie on down to the ring and pulls Britt Baker off Storm. She locks eyes with the doctor, and then they attack Toni together, and then they hug, and everything's fine. Deeb is keeping Athena at bay, so we've got a 3-on-2 situation, and that's when the music starts, and nobody knows who it is, and Saraya's name appears on the screen. And she stands tall at the top of the ramp, makes her way to the ring. Everybody clears out. She starts saying, "This is my house." And, that's it. She's standing in the ring. Now, for us there, she embraced Toni Storm and she embraced Athena. The rundown I'm reading doesn't say that happens. So I don't know if that was on television, because they tell me that there was a video package of Darby Allin traveling with a body bag. And he gets into a cab and says he's heading to a funeral at Arthur Ashe. So we did not see that. But Saraya continuously was saying, "This is my house." She is officially all elite. So my guess is she's going to be wrestling, not managing. But guys, here's what I want to say just about the match. I didn't necessarily have a problem with this match because Athena and Toni were going at it. It wasn't like, hey, we're friends. Like, we're not going to touch each other. So I thought the match was perfectly fine. It was a nice match. What I don't like is this is like the second or third time we're seeing Toni Storm win like this. She's your fucking champ. Why is she stealing wins? I mean, am I crazy to think like that?
No, this has been like, I was so excited, obviously, for Saraya to show up. But I was like, why did we pin Toni Storm on television to get to a 4-way in the first place? That never made sense. And the story of this match kind of sucked. Like, the in-ring I feel like was really good. I think Athena has looked great. Love seeing her work, and I can't wait to see on the watch back what she did, because there were some really cool spots that I think I'll appreciate more that way. I do like it that it was at least a clean win. So hopefully we're moving on from her just being in fucking 4-ways all the time. I'm sick of the fact that there's like tag stories going on and there's not a tag division. Like, what the hell are we doing? The division is still a mess. Like, I'm so excited for Saraya, and I don't think you make that big of an investment unless you are going to care, just from like a financial standpoint, because that's a very large thing to not care about all of the sudden. So very, very, very excited for her arrival. Also, like, fucking pull the plug on this partnership with Jamie Hayter and Britt and have her turn already. Like, this has been so dragged out. I don't need them together, especially when there's not a tag division. Just have her fucking turn. So hopefully that still happens, because this is just, I mean, the blue balls around this has been more than that Perfect Cooley causes the fellas. You know what I mean? So, but I mean, you can't deny how, I feel like everybody was caught really off guard, which is fun, because surprises that you know are coming are fun once they get confirmed, but people just jaw dropped is the most fun you can have in wrestling, I think. And what a shot in the arm. I think that's probably the biggest pop that a women's wrestler has gotten, and it will last 4 months until Sasha Banks probably goes back to WWE. But for right now, very cool to be there for that moment. And I mean, you guys were there. It was so fucking loud in there when she came out. People were going nuts. So I'm very, very excited for that. I also hope that that means we're going to get stories that make sense, at higher quality agenting in the actual, like, there's just no, why is your new interim champion in 2 4-ways out of the gate? Like, none of that part of it made sense. So glad Tony won clean. Very glad Saraya is there. Want Hater to turn.
The reversal win again, that just annoys me. Why can't she just win in a convincing manner? Like,
especially when she's really fucking good. Like, it's not like she's compensating for anything. Like, she's a really good wrestler. She's one of the best they have.
Right. So. And I get it was clean. There was no schmozziness or anything like that. But that stolen, like, reversal pin just annoys me. This isn't the first time she's done it. So, like, that's, I think, why I'm sort of nitpicking here, because she's the champ now. She's the top of the heap. She shouldn't have to, reverse to win.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It just bothers me.
It should.
I don't necessarily know if I understand. It's Britt Baker, man. What do you expect in a 4-way?
Oh, I think just
she's
that,
not
like,
gonna get beat hard.
Yeah, that she's, like, always going to be the one that's made to look good. But, I mean, I did see her reaction when Saraya came out, and that's awesome. Like, I think it's you have an undeniable heavyweight that just walked in. So,
but to that question, Britt Baker's not your fucking champ.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
Toni Storm is your champ. Toni Storm, won that belt and should be able to take out Britt Baker. Britt Baker lost in a tag match. She got knocked out and pinned clean.
And Toni Storm is an incredibly complete wrestler.
Yes.
She's so cool. She can deliver a promo. She's fantastic in the ring. Like, I know a lot of people felt like Thunder Rosa's promos weren't connecting. Like, Toni Storm is an incredibly complete wrestler. So,
well, here's the answer. No shit, neither is Tony. Thunder Rosa is. So, okay, now we're gonna nitpick, just like Moxley wasn't a champ. Please.
I think Moxley beating Punk proved that the interim champion isn't a substitute. Like, the interim champion beat the world champion, right? Like,
but does anybody ever say that in boxing or UFC when they have their interim champions that they're not a champ? No,
yeah.
They're a champ.
They're the champion, yeah.
Every now and again they do, but not normally when the current interim is as strong as Tony. It's usually when you have a weak interim that you hear, like, oh, the real champ is the champ. That's me.
Yeah, Tony's great. Tony
statement.
was gonna win anyway.
I agree with you, Ant. The reason they did the roll up is because they needed Britt to beat her down, so Britt couldn't take a hard move at the end because there's no logic to her being laid out and then being able to get up and get Tony. And Deeb couldn't be laid out because she had to be able to hold off Athena. So, like, there was this whole. I'm not saying.
I know. I hate it. This isn't the first time they've done it to her, and they do this sometimes. Like, even look at Darby. Look when Darby held that TNT championship. How many times did Darby? How many times did Darby steal wins like that? Right? He fought from underneath.
It makes sense for him to steal wins because he's built like a guy. Like, that's his style. Like, I'm gonna just keep surviving until I win. Toni Storm isn't that style because she's so good. She should be like, I can win when I win. All that being said, Saraya, I don't know how to say her.
Psoriatic arthritis.
She rules.
Oh, that's terrible.
I also have a comment here. Does TK have an aversion to booking 2 singles women's matches? Chauvinism? Excuse me. There were 2. There was one in a 2-hour Dynamite and one in a 2-hour Rampage. That is 2.
Well,
Yes,
I
booked
think
them on the same night.
The idea, I think the idea is that you're getting more women's talent on television if you do tag matches, if you do things like Fatal 4-Ways. So hypothetically, you're getting more women on television. That's been a persistent complaint, right? Just book 3 fucking matches a week, which now you got Paige there. I mean, my God. So
that's what I have.
Soraya.
I mean, I think she must be wrestling because I don't think you have Britt react the way she does if Paige doesn't have because like, why are you scared of her then? But I'm hoping for her in the back. She has a personality in a good. That's not an insult, in a good way to be like, what are we doing? Like, no wrestler. Like, look at Athena's awesome. I looked at Kate one point. I was like, and she shouldn't be TBS champion. Why? Like, she is that good. She gets herself over by having match after match after match. Put her on fucking TV.
Yeah.
Dean, I think we'll get over if she's on TV.
And I think that was something we all agreed about. What was it? All Out was like, what were they doing with Athena and Jade? Like, it made no sense. I mean,
I know we're not going to talk about Rampage because we don't want to spoil it, but I'm going to say this, and it's not a spoiler. Well, it wouldn't be a spoiler even if I told you the ending, but the match on Rampage is Jade versus Diamante. I fucking love Diamante. I watch her on Dark and Elevation all the time. She's a great wrestler. She's a lot of fun. Even I'm like, why is she in this match?
Yeah.
Jade doesn't really have open challenges. You don't know who, like, they do nothing to sell her.
There's nobody left.
I agree. I'm not disagreeing on that point. My point being, though, is like, if you wanted to, they've never treated Jade's belt like an open challenge from out of company. Fucking put Diamante in 3 TV matches for the 3 weeks leading up to it or something. So at least you get used to her. And then you're like, okay, and now she's going for Jade.
No disagreement there.
And then this is it. Okay, we're going to shove 4 women in a match together to get 4 women. And it was a great match. And I actually don't mind that the 4 women were going for the title. Like, that's fine. But I want a singles match on this card too. You had 2 fucking hours. You could have had another singles match.
Yeah.
Listen,
or you could have at least had 2 on Rampage. Jesus Christ.
And we've said it before. Like, there are always things you can sort of cut out to put additional women's match, sort of on the card. I mean, last night's card, actually, when you boil it down, there wasn't a whole lot to the card last night. I mean, the only extra thing we got there live was the MJF Wheeler Yuta. Which you have to wheel Max out in New York City. Like, you can't not. So I don't know if there was another place on this card to even try to slide in a women's match, but
I've been thinking about that because I agree with you, Ann. There's no disagreement. But the only part I'll argue is if they had been doing this for a while now, there would be another women's match that we felt belonged on the card. Like, you wouldn't be forcing it in. They would have developed one where you're like, oh, these 2, this belongs. But because we're trying to be like, just please, God, put them on, we're trying to like look for spots when in reality that spot should be desired because they already
That's not our fucking job. That's the thing. That's not our job. It's not our job to be like, well, we should sacrifice. It's their job to make another story that feels compelling enough that it should be bumping something else out or squeezed in, or something else should get less time. That's not our fucking job. It's their job, and they suck at it.
But you're right, because this card was stacked, and that sucks that you're like, well, there's no place. But in reality, if they had developed a second feud that we all cared about, then we would have been like, how was this left off the card? Like, you could have had that moment of being like, or again, even if you didn't put it on Dynamite for whatever reason, you had a 2-hour fucking Rampage with a lot of wasted time.
That's the fucking thing.
You could have had something there.
Yeah.
The other thing too is, I actually thought this was going to be our second match of the night. I thought they were going to put the women on earlier, but I guess because it's for the Women's World Championship, maybe that's why it was sort of like
it was put in its time slot, wasn't it?
What's that?
Wasn't it just in its time slot?
Well, they've surprised us in past weeks where I thought I fell asleep and then I woke up and the women were on. I was like, oh shit, I got to
And
do a
they've had good
podcast.
ratings every time they've done that. It's never
Yeah.
dipped because the women were on.
Yep.
It could have ended their first hour, but I don't know if their logic was, well, you have the Women's World Championship leading right into your, you know, Men's World Championship, but it also, you had Saraya debuting right before the championship match, so maybe it was a lead in there. I don't know.
Yankees won.
Yes, they did. Josh Donaldson was the hero tonight.
Let's go.
Well, guys, we're into our last match of the night. It's the main event. It's the American Dragon Bryan Danielson versus Jon Moxley for the AEW World Championship in the Grand Slam tournament final. Regal was at commentary. We obviously couldn't hear anything, but he was at commentary for this. Cutting to the end, guys. Moxley wins the AEW World Championship by referee stoppage with the sleeper hold. Post-match, Regal goes to ringside to raise John's hand. Danielson gets in Regal's face. They jaw at each other, and they fade to black. So for those of you, I don't know if it actually made it to social. Sometimes like the stuff after TV gets put on their social. For those of you who weren't there in attendance, what we saw all of that happen, but then Danielson took the belt. He wanted the belt. And then he turned Mox around and put the belt on Moxley and raised his hand. So I don't know if there's necessarily dissension in the Blackpool Combat Club, but it looks like Danielson just wanted to put the belt on him. They hugged, Mox, did his whole thing, and now he's a 3-time world champion. Now the funny thing here is, I think a bunch of you marks thought, and when I say you marks, I say you, Ryan, you, Kate, and even Millionaire Matt, thought that Danielson was winning here, and I said, nah, you got to give it to Mox. He's been carrying this whole fucking promotion, and they did. I think Millionaire Matt said, this guy really wants to go fishing, and I was like, he'll get to go fishing. Like, I'm not worried about that. He'll go fishing.
No,
Renee was there
Mox
last
the whole
night
time.
too, by the way. I did see that.
Looking beautiful. This was Mox the whole time.
Of course.
Mox the whole time.
I thought this was a great match. I think it gave you everything you could have asked for. Again, for those sort of only watching it on TV, it sort of leaves you with a little cliffhanger, like, what the fuck, are they going to be okay? We know it looks like things are okay, but they could go any way they want with this. They could break this up. They could move Danielson out and somebody else can come into the Combat Club. Who knows? Garcia and Danielson could go and do their own thing. So, I didn't have a problem with this. I like this match a lot, and I thought it was a great main event. Schlong, why don't we go to you first? Because usually you hate the main events. You hate Mox. You hate Danielson.
He hates wrestling, really. I don't know.
So what did you think about this?
First of all, I love that
it's uncharacteristic.
The after where Danielson gets mad and then he puts the belt on him. There's actually, when Yuta lost to Garcia, Yuta got mad at Regal, but then shook Garcia's hand. What I like about that, it shows that the Blackpool Combat Club doesn't like losing, but then when they calm down, the adrenaline comes down a little bit. They're like, okay, I respect the match. So I don't think it's going to be division. I think they're just trying to build up this place as like, no, they're serious competitors. I think that's constantly what they're trying to tell the story for the Cut Club. The match was awesome. I know I thought it was going to be Danielson just because I thought Mox was going to get his break that he wanted. Everyone's logic as to why it's Mox is better than why it would have been Danielson. Mox versus MJF is the better story. The heart of AEW, the guy who canceled his vacation to make sure the company's okay versus the guy who took his ball, went home for a couple weeks to get paid more. Like, there's a story there. And not that I believe, like, I'm not actually disparaging MJF, just saying the story that's out there that they want to tell. And I think Kate said it on Twitter today, so I'm going to steal Kate's line because I'm speaking first, but also because I agree with her. You want Danielson to have a real run when he gets the title. You don't want it to be short. And MJF, absolutely needs to take the title from Moxley. Like, that is where this is going. That's what we need. But the match was nuts. I mean, these two just do not hold back against each other, and they take some bumps that just scare the shit out of me. And they are both very good at selling, and people don't give Moxley enough credit for his pure wrestling. You know, he's always violence, and he is, but he can get in that ring and he can wrestle. And he tells a story. And because he's done it with more than just Danielson, he's done with other guys too. So it's not just, oh, you're in the ring with the best in the world. It's what he's very good at. Loved it. We'll watch it again and again and again. I don't care if they do rematches, but I think Danielson's story now is Jericho. But the only complaint, and it's not my complaint because I was there, because I don't have the hair to flip like Kate does, but just imagine it. I was there. We could see it at all times because we could watch the ring. But apparently, because on the big screen, they kept cutting to MJF. Apparently, that also was happening on TV too. So like TV
was such good shit on it. Yeah, it was
missing
stupid.
a lot of matches. Now, the only thing I will say is there were some assholes on the floor who every time one of the lower cams would come, they'd put belts up for WWE, they put signs up for WWE that not only do you not want on AEW TV, but they also block the camera a lot of the time. So the camera couldn't get a good view. And I think, and I could be wrong, but I think AEW was really counting on that low view to show both the ring and the box beyond it. And they lost that because those guys wouldn't stop. So that's one thing that didn't bother me because I could watch the match. But if I were at home, I would have been furious.
Yeah, that was stupid of them. At one point they had a picture-in-picture view, and I was like, you should have just done that every time because the match was fantastic. This, I think, was the match of the night. It was great. When we were there in person, the ring posts were mic'd pretty hot, and those Danielson chops were like 3 times as loud as Eddie Kingston's. They were so loud, just absolutely reverberating throughout the whole venue.
I don't want to cut you off. Go read Asian Joe's comment just so I can tell him fuck you.
He was just wondering if that's what was happening at home.
Yeah,
fuck you, Asian Joe.
I think we all were. Aunt does it so well. I'm embarrassed to even try and impersonate it.
I lived with it for 4 years in college.
I loved this main event. I think Mox should win because if you're going to put the belt on MJF, you have the story there of MJF's previous title shot being against Mox and him losing, but Mox cheating to do it. That's sitting right there for you. You have the heart of AEW of recent against the anti-AEW guy. It's perfect. Mox can afford the short title reign because he wants to go on vacation anyway. Danielson, when he has it, you're going to want him to be, I think, more in that 6 month to a year range. So this was absolutely the right call. The only way Danielson wins is if MJF is setting up that match with his token and losing, which I don't think is a good use of that right now. So I think MJF versus Mox is going to be a whole lot of fun. I'm interested to see how the results of the incredibly stupid battle royal factor into this picture as well. So we'll get there. But yeah, I think this was a fantastic match. I mean, just fantastic stuff. And the cutaways to MJF were fun. They were just overdone for television, but it was really fun having him up there. And it also put away, I was better able to focus on the match because I was like, if he's up there, he's not like coming down to interrupt at any point. Like, he's up there. He might even set up the match afterwards, but like, this isn't going to be a cash-in situation if he's up there, right? Right. You have to run all the way back down. So I kind of liked that because it put that to rest for me as a viewer. So I loved it. Favorite match of the whole experience, I think, and a whole lot of fun with 2 of the best professional wrestlers in the world. Like, my God, getting to see Bryan Danielson, this version of him, is just a privilege every time it comes around.
I will say this. Jason asked, can somebody confirm if the dickheads ringside with the replica belts got in trouble or something? I did. Now, Schlong, you're shaking your head, but I did follow. I was sort of looking in that area because I was like, this guy keeps holding his belt up. Like I could see it on the screen. And I saw, I don't know who, production, security, somebody talking with their people. And then they did go and talk to them. And probably said, stop holding your belt up. It's blocking our camera. And then I don't think they did it again. But at that point, it's too little too late. Yeah. did see somebody on the other side of the ring, opposite of the hard cam. They had a small sign that said JR sucks or something like that. And I did see them take that guy's. It was a small sign. It's like
But,
an
like,
8 by.
what do you do with, like, JR sucks? Get a fucking hobby, man.
They did take his sign. I did see
Good.
that. They went over and grabbed it and did away with that. Or it said something like JR still sucks or something like that. Who knows? But
Unless it said JR is sassafras, I don't want to hear it.
oh, JR is
Sassafras.
sassafras.
Yeah.
Well, that was the show, and it was a lot of fun. And then we sat through 2.5 hours of Rampage. So,
Yes, we did. It was a long night, but a really fun night.
lots of fun.
Yes.
Couple of news and notes. We alluded to it before, but TK is seemingly turning this ref stuff into a storyline. People have been criticizing the referees missing so many spots. I think it was even on Wrestling Observer Radio. Meltzer had indicated it wasn't because of poor communication between agents and producers. Tony Khan booked 3 consecutive finishes like that on purpose because it's part of a planned angle with referee Paul Turner. So the tweet that TK put out said, congrats at Ref Turner AEW on refereeing 100 AEW main events. As senior official, Paul manages our refs who do great work, but miss some illegalities in the first few bouts last night. I know we can count on Paul. I'm asking him to tighten it up starting tomorrow on AEW Rampage. So guys, my suggestion is you tune in to the 2-hour Rampage to see if Paul Turner tightens it up. We'll talk about that next week here on the Mark Order Podcast. Right, gang?
We will. Does he tighten it up like Ethan Page's tits? Tune in to find out.
That's right. Guys, also saw that apparently Ruby Soho needs surgery, and she will be missing UK dates that she had booked. So we know that fucking Tay Conti almost killed her about 4 or 5 times. She got off
Sammy
lucky.
Guevara, honestly, when he dropped her on her neck like that, I was like,
very true. So I guess she got off lucky with a broken nose, but she will be missing a new Twist of Fate October 1st in the UK. So that sucks. So I guess we can expect to not see her on AEW as well. Jesus Christ.
God, give me Ruby Soho versus Saraya.
Please.
Ooh, that would be an awesome match stylistically.
Please.
Let's
see. Also saw this one coming across. Sorry, I lost my spot here. TK has a Tuesday appearance, or had a Tuesday appearance on San Diego's Rock 105.3's The Show.
Well,
there you go. We're going to talk about him too.
Now.
They asked him about CM Punk's griping at the press conference. They pressed him on what's going on behind the scenes. They asked him if Punk's stuff took away from MJF's return. And then I think that he also got asked on a different show about sort of like what's going on, with the Elite and the Undisputed Elite, and he sort of didn't really give an answer, but said it'd be interesting to go back and think about it, certainly while it hasn't come to fruition. You never know. I certainly wouldn't want to rule out the possibility of someday that potentially happening. But on the other hand, you mentioned some injuries and unforeseen circumstances that have taken place. Those are all, he said, this is a quote, but those are all great wrestlers and 2 great trios. Absolutely. Those are all great wrestlers.
My God.
Now listen, I would love to see an Undisputed Elite versus the Elite, but it's too bad Bobby Fish is gone, so we're not going to get it.
Well, he's 65. It's time for him to retire,
Listen, He's got to learn an English accent and walk out with a monocle and a top hat. There you go. He's already doing the mustache gimmick, twirling it up.
That's it.
And guys, we were talking about this yesterday. We were hoping it was going to happen. It did not happen. Captain Insano might make his debut in AEW. We thought we were going to get it. We didn't get it.
It's upsetting.
I was actually legitimately hoping for it once Matt said he hated it.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. I would have loved it. I know Tony Khan did tweet out a GIF at one point of the Waterboy saying with Captain Insano. And then Paul White did say there were some plans for the character. He said there's already an outfit made, the whole 9 yards. We're doing a lot of prep work. This will be my last hurrah, so to speak. He said, I don't think that this character is going to be a killer going out there and trying to beat Jon Moxley for the world championship. At this point, I think this character is just to have fun. We'll see how it goes. But for me right now, this is just a chance to have fun with this character and be a bright spot on the show. We'll see how I'm feeling, and we'll see how everybody takes off with it. Guys, wouldn't it have been amazing if Adam Sandler came out and was like, I'm here to introduce you to my very good friend, Captain Insano.
Yeah. It would have been great.
I was,
Instead,
like I
we
said, I was
got-
legitimately excited for it.
Instead, we got some rappers, I think, that came out with Swerve in Our Glory. And
one of Matt's cats.
Well,
We-
we're not going to get into that.
No. That's all. We're leaving it at that.
That's right. One of Matt's cats. There you go.
A Matt cat.
That's a very inside reference. I don't know if people...
It is. That's the point.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck you, Jason Major.
Oh, no. I'm so old. Wrap up the show. I can't deal with that shit.
Well, Asian Joe just say Captain Insano versus Danhausen. Book it.
Oh my God, yes.
And this is what everybody's saying. Fuck you, Jason Major. The movie came out the year I was born. I don't even know what year that was. 98, 99?
Somewhere around there.
Or was it later, like 2001?
No, it was like 98, 99.
Oh, boy.
Either way, that's gross. Wrong decade.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guys, that's all the stuff I had. I don't know if you guys had anything else. Any other news, notes?
Here's some news. I had a great time with you guys yesterday. I had fun with you, pals. That's newsworthy to me.
Here's
Well,
some
get
news.
ready to... Oh, wait. The other thing I forgot. Well, he's coming to town soon. Asian Joe's coming to town.
Yeah, he is.
When is he coming? Asian Joe, you're in the chat. When are you coming again? You're not here for Full Gear, are you?
No, it's earlier in October. I forget the actual date. I have that in my calendar.
I was going to say, if Asian Joe was here for Full Gear, guess where he would be? In the
Yeah,
Order
he'd be in the
Suite
suite with us.
with us.
He'd be in the suites.
He'd be in the Mark Order suite.
He would. He rules.
But Ann, I have some news.
Uh-oh.
I really need a day between Saturday and Sunday.
Leave my whiteboard alone.
Oh, is that what you're reading?
I wanted to see if she would pick up that's where I read it from and if anyone else would notice it.
This
I didn't
screen
fill it out
is
this week.
this window is way too small for me to read that. So I had no idea what he was talking about.
Good. Stupid Ryan.
Stupid sexy Ryan. Asian Joe will be here October 5th through 9th. So Asian Joe, that means we've got to figure out what we're doing. We got to get together and do something. All right, let's wrap this show up, folks. Kate, what are you doing? When you doing? Where you doing? Who you doing?
I'm doing too much, but not too many in like the people department.
All right.
Every Tuesday, NXT Sour Graps with Alex Pulaski, where we're just losing our fucking minds at how bad NXT is at this point, but hope may be around the corner. Wednesdays here whenever I can be. Normally we're here on Wednesdays and not Thursdays. Friday doing the AEW Rampage and SmackDown show on Fightful YouTube. And you got 2 weeks to screw up the word of the day gimmick because October 9th, I'm going back to Excite Wrestling for commentary.
All right. So we've got 2 weeks. Schlong, you're the Twitter guy. Let's pin a thread or something. I don't know. Well, we can't.
I
pin
keep
it.
trying. We never get anything good.
Oh, now you're blaming the people?
Yes, I'm turning heel.
All right, I'll come up with some options and we'll put a Twitter poll up. How about
There you
that?
go. That's better.
And it's just going to be stuff like that I can imagine hearing coming out of Kate's mouth that would just sound stupid. So I mean, like, I would mean like Kate saying like, "I'm going to keep it 100." You know what I mean? Like,
oh, that would be fun. Like douchey little phrases. Would that be fun?
Like keep it 100, or like I don't know, talking about that Ric Flair drip. You know, we'll figure it out.
We'll find it.
So Kate's all over the fucking place. Schlong, what are you doing?
Keeping it 100.
100.
On Mondays and Tuesdays, I am live tweeting Dark and Elevation. Apparently, my camera is just dropping my head completely off the
Like
screen.
my favorite thing that happens on the stream.
So random.
Float away.
But like, what the hell? Like, even this one, like, what's it focusing on?
The background.
Okay.
You've got a tennis match going back there.
On Mondays
Not
and
our
Tuesdays,
fault you didn't leave.
I am. Ouch. On Mondays and Tuesdays, I'm live tweeting Dark and Elevation. Wednesdays, I'm here. Thursdays, I'm not here. Fridays, I'm not here. Saturdays, I'm not here. Sundays, I'm not here. Mondays, I'm not here.
No, you're at home.
Because I'm live tweeting Dark and Elevation. But you can talk to me on Twitter at MarkOrderPod. Bye, guys.
See ya.
Good to see you.
Schlong and good night.
He's got a ghost back there. He just doesn't know it. The camera does. He doesn't know. I'm here every Wednesday night on the Mark Order podcast. Millionaire Matt, who's not here, but he may be back once his suspension is up. We'll figure it out. You can hear him on Monday nights on the Shining Wizards at 7 o'clock on the Shining Wizards Network. They always do a great job with their interviews. They have really good guests, great interviews. They play a lot of fun games, you know, just like your normal morning zoo crew on the radio dial. Except they've been doing it for 11 years and they're the B show of their own network compared to us. So tune in Monday nights to hear Matt and the Shining Wizards. That's Matt, Tony, Kevin. And then I'm here on Wednesday nights on the Mark Order podcast. Thanks to everybody who watched along live with us tonight. Jason, Asian Joe, Jesse, Slonomite, Mrs. Money was here earlier. Eric Freeds, Gordon Post,
Doc Mueller, Drew was in here.
The doc. Also, Pluggo was on Facebook. Pluggo was probably really bored there by himself. We do appreciate anybody who watches along with us live on any platform. YouTube's probably the most fun one. It's where most people are chatting along. And if you listen to us in podcast form, we absolutely appreciate you doing that. Please make sure you rate, subscribe, review, do all those things. It helps us in the podcast algorithms. But you should certainly, Kate will agree, you should certainly check us out in video form if you never have. Kate's got the bangs working. Ryan gives, I want to call that some sort of bedroom eyes, but it's really fucking creepy.
It's like a baby Zoolander.
It's like a baby pooping his pants.
Oh no. And Ant's got the fits.
I mean, this is a rare night where I've got my arms covered. Usually I'm showing off the guns. But check us out on YouTube. It's a lot of fun. The episodes are all there in perpetuity. Check out the archives. Don't forget about the free stickers. Go to our social platforms at Mark Order Pod, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Hit the button for free stickers. Give us your full name, your mailing address, and the country you live in. I'll get you out stickers free. We're all giving 2 thumbs. Kate, what happened? You put the thumbs down. We're all giving thumbs. There. What are you doing? 2. There we go. We're all. Way to ruin the bit. I nailed it. That's like the Pinterest. Nailed it.
Nailed it.
So guys, yes, thank you both for a fun night last night. We will do it all again in the classy suites at the Prudential Center. For full gear, I know Kate's already flipping her hair. She's got a hair appointment. She's going to do the whole thing. Guys, should we go for pedicures before the pay-per-view?
Yes. And to the clubs after.
Ooh, the clubs? We can go to
Yeah.
QXT's.
There it is.
It's like a goth industrial club. Or we can go to, Kate, if you prefer, clubs where there is less clothing on. There are places we can go. I don't know how they are.
We should do like a meetup situation before, because there's going to be a lot of people in town for this one.
Oh, I think we're probably still going to figure out a way to tailgate, even though there's nowhere to tailgate. So we'll just find a bar. Believe it or not, I don't think the Edison Ale House is there anymore.
Really?
Which was right next door. So
maybe Red Apple or whatever the fuck that place is.
You know who we could probably ask?
Kevin.
Shining Wizards Kevin.
Wherever his Uber ride drops him off, that's where we'll tailgate.
That's where we're going to be. All right, guys. Thanks for a fun night last night. Thanks, everybody, for listening, and for you guys for a fun night tonight. We'll be back next Wednesday, our normal time, our normal channels, at 10:15 p.m. after Dynamite to talk everything AEW here on the Shining Wizards Network on the Mark Order Podcast. Bye, Ryan. Bye, Kate. Bye. Gordon Post. Bye, Asian Joe. Bye, everybody. See you next week.
Bye.
This concludes the Mark Order Podcast. We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming. Join the Mark Order.